mute now.
Welcome to Launceston Arena for the first TSL semi-final between the Clarence Roos and the Launceston Blues. This one is going to be a beauty. Beautiful day here at Launceston Arena in the State South. It was rainy towards the end of the week, but it's come good right in time for a cracking semi-final. I'm Damian Gill, bringing this one live to you. Alongside me is Brent Costelloe and the ever-insightful Cam Brown.
Afternoon, Damo. Can't wait for this one. I saw both of these teams last week, of course, and really, Brownie, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Brent. Looking forward to it as well, Damo. What a great clash, because both teams contrasting form last week. Really impressed with Launceston, weren't we? 26 points down at one stage through the second quarter, and then they just had a magnificent surge and ran all over the top of, in the end, an undermanned Glenorchy outfit, and then Clarence are right in it up until three-quarter time, but then they're overpowered by a dominant Lauderdale in the last quarter. They'd be ruining their bad kicking in that game, so that'll be something they'll look to rectify. Damo, I don't know whether we can have a look at the form line between these two teams. We actually called the live stream back in early July, and it was Clarence against Launceston the last time these two teams played, and it was a 27-point win that day to Clarence, and we were pretty impressed with the way Launceston stuck at it that day.
Yeah, the two times they've played this season, it's gone both the way of the red and white, but Launceston, as you said, stuck at it on that occasion. The game earlier on in the season at Windsor Park was a bit more one way towards Clarence, but that was really when Clarence were up and firing. I'm expecting a tight tussle today, and I think the midfield, like so frequently in big games, is where the game's going to be won and lost, and I actually think it's an area where Launceston can get on top.
Well, I think we spoke post-game last week that Clarence might be that midfielder short, Brownie. Is that still your thinking going into the game?
Yeah, look, I think I agree with Gilly. I think Launceston's strength is in that midfield, and they're a little bit underrated in that department. And yeah, Clarence, I just thought that probably the flexibility hurt them last week, and Lauderdale's ability to throw different players around different ends of the ground and probably different people in the midfield just meant they were a little bit fresher in that last quarter. So maybe Clarence will do something a little bit different today, but when I think you have Webberley, Cullen and those sort of people in your front half, which is absolutely understandable because they're elite players of the competition, it does rob you a little bit, particularly when you put Cox down there in that forward line as well. So a lot rests on some of those midfielders that are in the centre bounce on those particular situations when that star personnel is out of the 50. But I mean, interesting too, the last time these two teams played as well, it was actually the small forwards that got hold of Launceston. I think Stanton and Callan and both kicked 3 goals. Siggins also was dominant in the ruck. So we often talk about Clarence's top 6 or 7 players in the competition are as good as anyone. So you can't afford, obviously, to let them get off the leash, so to speak. But Keegan Wiley is a big inclusion today for the Roos boys.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. And out as well, Aiden Grace. His partner had a baby last night, so he is going to miss. Congratulations to Gracie. And coming into the side, Michael Blackburn, who a few people were surprised he was left out of the team on Thursday night, but he gets another opportunity to impress.
Well, he was pretty good the last time that these two teams played. He kicked 3 goals on the stream. So a lot of those boys, as we mentioned, when you throw in Stan and Callan and Siggins, they were very dominant the last 2 times these two teams played. So really interested in the matchups. I think Leadham's been in really good form for Launceston. The ruck, I thought he was excellent last week. I like the form of young Tyrrell off half-back for Launceston. Thought he was really terrific last week, and just his poise under pressure and his ability to run and carry the footy. Jake Hines, I'm not sure whether Clarence can afford to let him run and roam free on that left foot. He's very damaging. He'll probably play a little bit behind the footy early on the game just to try and set it up from a Launceston perspective, but really damaging, and he can push forward and kick goals. So he's someone I think Clarence would have put a little bit of time into.
There have been some talking points during the week, Damo. A lot to get through, really. The surface was the big one, and looking out there today, it's hard to say if it's hard or not, but that was a big discussion point during the week.
Yeah, I think maybe the wet weather towards the end of the week might have helped things. Can't see Windy out there. Of course, he's at the other end of the state, but I thought he may have come here for a bit of tackle practice beforehand. He hasn't opted for that, but no, that was a bit of fun, really. It was obviously a contentious issue, and you'd expect that it'll be fine, and it shouldn't play too much of a part in the contest. One thing that might is Jeremy Webberley's fitness. Now,
yes.
He's got through the game, got into this game rather. He's been selected, and it's still a bit of conjecture how close to 100% he is. He said, I think it was Thursday, he was about 70% chance to play. He obviously has got through that, but I don't think he's anywhere near 100%. And it'll be interesting if Clarence do get in control, how big a part he plays in the game, because if they are on top, I think we might see him coach from the bench.
Yeah, he certainly didn't look great after the game last week, and has worked really hard to get it right during the week. It needed a lot of cold temperature, didn't it? Didn't want to get too much heat onto it, so hopefully he's okay. The other big talking point out of the week too, Jackson O'Brien faced the TSL tribunal. That was thrown out for that hit on Bryce Walsh, or that apparent hit. So
yeah, there wasn't much in it.
No, it wasn't in the end, so that was interesting. And Sam Lonigan came out as well in his Thursday press conference and said at times, Brownie, he thought his team's been disrespected throughout the season. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, yeah, I'm not sure where he's coming from there. Only he would know about those, whether or not it's a slide on the competition or how his team's rated external and the outside in the TSL footy world. I'm not too sure, but certainly I'd have to say they're underrated. And certainly when probably we've been doing the stream, we may have even been guilty ourselves of actually, I guess, lobbing the top 2 or 3 teams in terms of your Clarence, your Lauderdales and North Launceston, and probably having Launceston a little bit below that. But they're in for a, I think they'll be right up for it today. They get Sam Rundle back, which is a really important inclusion. Jordan Harris makes way for him, but certainly they'll come here with confidence on this ground, and just the way they stuck at it. So if it's not going well for them early, they'll just keep chipping away. Loved the game of Sonny Whiting last week, and he was good against Clarence when those teams played in the corresponding game, which we've mentioned a few times already. Going back a couple of months ago, so he's just such a dangerous matchup. Only probably needs 5 or 6 kicks, but that's 4 or 5 goals normally on his stand, and so not sure who will probably get the job on him today. They've thrown a few different people around, whether or not it's Bailey, Fisher's another one that might go to him. Great news too with young Holmes awarded the Rising Star too during the week, don't mate?
Yeah, absolutely. What a character he is. He goes full throttle on the playing field, and it seems off it he's much the same. He's very colourful character. A couple of milestones today as well. Tim Castle playing game 150 and Jake Cox game 100. So they'd be hoping to send them out with, celebrate their milestones with a big win today up against the Blues.
That'd be game 100 for Clarence, would it, Brady?
I would have thought
so.
Yeah,
I think so.
And look, he's a really important player. I just think he's been injured, coming back to some continuity in his footy. I reckon this is his 2nd or 3rd game back, so I actually think he'll be a pretty dominant player today. And Castle, he's been a great stalwart and servant for the footy club across half-back. He's one of the leaders down there now. He's become more composed with his use of the footy as well as shutting down normally one of the opposition's best forwards.
Jake Cox is due for a big game, I think. Since coming back, he hasn't really busted one open. I think today might be the day. It's going to be interesting what happens here. Sam Siggins had a quiet game last week. Rare that he has 2 in a row. Hamish Leedham was really good last week, and he had a good game when he played the Roos last time. They both did. So I think the ruck battle is going to be a fascinating one, because around the ground, Leedham is really good in terms of the hit-outs, but Sam Siggins can push forward and become a dominant threat inside 50. So that's going to be a fascinating battle. A bit of niggle on the wing already here. Rulla Kelly-Mansell trying to get under the skin of Gabby Chambers, who looks to be following him around.
And look at this. Sammy Siggins has had a fresh haircut for finals, hasn't he? Looks like he's hard to tell from our vantage point, but he might have a skin head there.
Right. Just on Jake Cox as well, boys. I expect to see him play a lot more midfield today. He's played forward in recent times, but I expect him to play in midfield more often than not today.
All right, here we go. Semi-final action from Blunston Arena. We're underway. Do or die clash this afternoon. Whoever loses, their season is over. Agarnis takes a great mark for Launceston. There's a bit of time now to go back and check out his options. He goes wide, dangerous kick. Spoiled away over the boundary for a boundary throw-in. So
beautiful work there from Silva.
Yes,
he's underrated that he's come into the side at the right time of the season and kept his spot, Silva.
And that's because I think of his competitive nature. We saw him a couple of weeks ago in Glennsgilnorkey. They were an undermanned team that day, Clarence. They had 5 or 6 people that had an opportunity to get a game in the finals, and he was the one player that stood up.
So here's a chance for Launceston. Agarnis again been busy these first couple of minutes. Kelly-Mansell gets the handball away, and the Blues are away now. Lonigan gets the footy. He's wrapped up and pinged for a throw. So Clarence will get the kick here. Siggins now. Big bomb inside 50. And look at this, Speedy Standon's there, but Wade Wall is too. Gets the kick away, but hits the post. So a little let off there for Launceston.
Gee, that would have been a great start. What a big concern there for Launceston, just the amount of space that Standon had over the back there. You've got to tighten that up so that he can't run onto the ongoing ball, as he had an opportunity to on that occasion. But, you know, 50-50 chance there for Wade Wall. They would have loved to have got that one, the Roos.
Blues bring it out of defence to the wing, and good mark. No, couldn't hang on to it, Castle, and goes out of bounds for a boundary throw-in again.
Just a couple of matchups, boys. It looks like Bailey is going with Sonny Whiting at the moment, and a lot of the respective stars are in the midfield at the moment. Cox started in there for the Roos, as Damo alluded to at the centre bounce.
So down it comes over the head of Leadham. It's taken by O'Brien. He's wrapped up, and it'll be a ball up. Far side of a sun-drenched Launceston Arena. A lovely day for footy.
No wind, which helps, doesn't it?
Up it goes, one down by Leadham. Powerfreeman takes it, gives to Hines. He's wrapped up and dealt with. Well done, Michael Fisher.
That's his second free kick for a run tackle from behind, Michael Fisher.
Fisher looks in the direction of Callanan. Misses him, but he might get a free kick. He will. So,
watch for the lead here from Standon.
In it comes. Webberley tries to gather. Agarnis, hands out. Lonigan does his best. They just tumble it away, Clarence. It comes to O'Brien, has his ball blocked. Silver tries to gather, can't quite. O'Brien off to Chambers. Offline, behind. So Clarence with the early ascendancy. Yet to make it count though, 2 behinds. Hines takes it out. Finds Tyrrell. Had a very good afternoon last week, Tyrrell.
It's terrific.
Finds Savage. Also had a good afternoon. It's really good intercept marking last week for the Blues. Savage goes down the wing to the tall target of Leadham. Over the back was Rundle. Can't gather. O'Donoghue gives it to the big man Leadham. Leadham just throws a handball down the wing. It's gathered by Buchner. Hands off. Finds Silver to Chambers. O'Brien. They've run themselves into a spot of bother though. Savage on hands and knees. Tries to shovel it out. Jumping over the top was Chambers. It'll be a ball up.
You'd expect this start in many respects, boys, being a final, a cutthroat elimination final, so to speak. Not a lot of time and space for the ball carrier at this particular point in time. Both teams doing very well defensively.
So Leadham dominating the hit-outs early. Not his best one here. Gleeson takes the ball, wrapped up by Blackberry, and it'll be rinse and repeat on the broadcast wing.
Big game follows this one this afternoon from a spot in the grand final. North Launceston taking on Lauderdale at UTAS Stadium as the ball comes down again and out of bounds. Oh, a bit going on here too. Brother Kelly Mansell in the thick of it with Jake Cox, the milestone man. Might have been a little headbutt there.
There was a headbutt.
Yes, so that's interesting. As Cox will get the free kick now. As we said, playing his 100th game for Clarence this afternoon. He goes inside 50. Callanan all by himself in there in the front and gets the mark on the chest, and we'll go back and have a shot on goal. Slight angle and kick from about 40 metres out.
He has to watch that, Jack Donnell. On an earlier inside 50 entry, he was actually behind as well from his opponent there in Callanan, who used all his experience. So that's the second time he's been caught out there, and he could be made pay on this occasion.
He was pretty happy on Thursday night when his Adelaide Crows got the home prelim final in the AFL. Let's see if he can get his team off to the best start this afternoon. Ian Callanan's kick is a beauty. They're on the board first, the Roos. 8 plays 0.
We mentioned last time these two teams played. He had a terrific game with 3 goals, and Clarence would love to get some multiple goals for him today. I'd love to see him actually spend a little bit of time in the midfield, but it'll obviously depend on how things are going in there, because he's just so sure by hand and foot and composed in those situations. So you'd expect if Launceston do get a bit of a run on, he is one option that can roll up into the midfield, but is so damaging inside that forward 50. Great finish.
Great finish indeed. Up it goes again. Leadham down, looking for Palfreyman. He can't gather. O'Brien's had a hot start. He gets the ball out. Handing out was Boyce. They just move it outside the centre square now. A bouncing ball will be tracked down by Smith. He's shoved off it. Nice work from Castle in his milestone game. Works it with O'Brien and then Gleeson. O'Brien can't gather the footy. Got a bit of time on his side. Gets a handball out. Not the best. It favours the Blues. Kelly Mansell shovels out hands. It goes to Gleeson, the opposition. A tumbling punt forward. Holmes comes and claims it. He's claimed himself. The ball comes to Hines. He runs into trouble. Hands out. They'll try and work it out of defence now, the Blues. And wrapped up in a tackle was Wall. It'll be another ball up.
Zach Bushner, boys, today is playing back on O'Donoghue, so we're used to seeing him forward. Today he's got a job down back.
Up it goes again. Siggins highest. Comes to Rundle. He farms it nicely. Tries to get a hand out to Tyrrell. Can't quite. Wrapped up in a tackle was Shepherd. And again, play stops. So Clarence, with the hot start, 1-2-8, plays no score. Up again. Sam Siggins, a big fist away. Tyrrell comes and claims it. Finds his coach in Lonergan. Can't gather the hot footy. In comes Jones. Hands it out. Ling over the top. Holmes, the Matthew Richardson medalist. Turns, puts it into the pocket. It's a shocker. It's cut off. Good bit of work, and the Blues will work it out of defence now. Palfreyman meets it. Centre half back, finds Hines. He's sure by foot, but not on this occasion. Misses Kelly Mansell, out of play.
So we've gone almost 8 minutes in this opening term. Clarence lead it by 8 points. Launceston yet to have it down their end of the field here at Launceston Arena. Perfect conditions, as we said earlier, for footy this afternoon. In it comes. Wall taps down to Cox. He's wrapped up though. O'Brien can't go any further. Big Rundle tackle on him. Lonergan, can he get the handball out? He can't. Ball is right on the ground. Fisher's in there. Umpire's letting it go though. And now the Blues are away. They've got some time here. A high ball right in front of us here in the commentary box. Oh, good mark. Going back with the fight was Keegan Wiley, who missed last week, of course, with that concussion. Now Castle, he pushes it forward, and Callanan's out. Picks up the footy. Does well, and now Holmes again. Big week for him. Back to Callanan. And now inside 50. Mark could be taken by Stan and fell off his chest and out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
Great intercept mark there for Keegan Wiley. That'll do wonders for his confidence since coming back from the concussion a couple of weeks ago. He's actually the loose man for Clarence at the moment. Launceston also happy to sit a man behind the footy, and that's Jake Hines.
So ball back in. Wall and Leadham go at it. Picked out though by the Blues. Ball to the wing, far wing here. Roos gather, and now Wiley again. Been fantastic for them this year, Keegan Wiley. And Holmes gets the footy. What a story he is, James Holmes. Pops it up, finds his man. And Castle goes inside to to Blackburn. There was a late inclusion this afternoon for Aidan Grace. And Blackburn's kick is not his best, and Williams marks for Launceston. Oh, good kick to Sonny Whiting. He gets the quick handball away to Nellen. Pushes it wide. Chasing the footy is Boyce. He gets around his opponent, but wrapped up at the last minute. Cox now has time for Clarence. He goes inside, Standon's on, but not quite enough, and out of bounds.
He had Michael Blackburn probably about 30 metres out from goal. A couple of those Clarence forward entries have just been drawn to the deep right forward pocket there. I think they would like that more in a dangerous spot if you're a Clarence coach and perspective at least.
So ball comes in, inside forward 50 for the Roos. Paddled down by Leadham. Tracking it was Brown for the Blues, and they scurry out a kick. Boundary the saviour will be thrown back in.
Just trying to think, boys, we're 10 minutes in this first quarter. Have Launceston had an inside 50?
No, they haven't yet.
No,
it's been all Clarence, and it doesn't appear that wind's a factor. It occasionally, well, more than occasionally, is a factor here at Launceston Arena, but not today. No swirling breeze at the moment anyway. Leadham gets it down. It falls out the back, and they might be away here, the Blues. Roller Kelly Mansell comes out, takes a mark. That'll do his confidence the world of good. He was quiet last week. Switches it up to Hines. He'll step inside, ignores a Garnis, assesses his options. They might just get their first real foray forward. He switches up, looking for Boyce, sends him an almighty task. Wade Wall comes in, chops it out, finds Gleeson. Started well, good pressure. So Gleeson measures a ball and finds Harper. Harper in the centre of ground. Fine Castle in his 150th. Turns and burns, a little shoe, a good one. Finds Stanton, eager to get going. Inside, Blackburn on his chest, bounces off it. Savage across, fists away. Blackburn might mop up. Runs out of tarmac.
Just has to be careful, Jake Hines. He's a very confident player with ball in hand, particularly with his kicking, and he can obviously hit targets a lot of players unable to do, but that one was just a little bit too ambitious, sat up in the air and created the turnover for the Roos.
So another inside 50 for the Roos. Lead him down, Stanton grabs it immediately, Klein farming out with Siggins, out for Harper, eyes, goals, and threads the needle. Clarence well and truly in control here at Blunston Arena.
It's been a great start for them, and they've certainly got the game on their terms, and it's been played forward of centre in their half of the ground. But on that occasion, unfortunately, the turnover, as I mentioned there, from Jake Hines, which created the switch, and Clarence were able to work it through inside 50 and get a stoppage. And it was, once again, Gerard Harper, who's a bit of an underrated player for them. He can bob up and kick a couple of goals. He's often that player who leads up on the logos when you're looking for someone just to get you out of trouble with that connector kick from the back half. Great start for him.
So Clarence in control in this first semi-final this afternoon. Here's Williams chasing the footy for Launceston. Gets wrapped up in a big tackle though. And umpire pings him for holding the ball. So Trent Stanton will get the free kick here.
Had a wayward day last week, didn't he, Trent Stanton?
He kicked 5 or 6 points, didn't he?
He goes into Callanan, who takes the mark on the chest and might even be 50 here.
Don't think it will.
No. Happy with that, Brownie?
Brownie, would you believe 8 behinds last week for Trent Stanton? 2-8, and he one where he slipped over in the goal square.
Very Trent Stanton-like. So Callanan, we're right behind this one in the commentary box. Cam Brown says it will be a goal. Let's watch it float through and see what happens. His kick is not his best. It's across the face. Siggins is there, but Lonigan is too for Launceston. He gets the handball away. Danellan. And now, it's intercepted beautifully by the Roos. Garnis is there. So is Williams now. And the Blues out of danger. So, big hit there from Jackson O'Brien. But it looks like he's hurt himself in the process. Might have gotten in the guts. So, not a great outcome there for Jackson O'Brien, who, as we said earlier, is playing this afternoon after getting off his charge during the week. Ball back in. Leader out in front, taps it down. Jones is there in the helmet, as he always is. He tries to centre the ball. It's not his best work, but still alive for the Roos. Picked up beautifully by Brenner. Fisher got the handball inside of Garnis. Big high tackle there. Umpire didn't see it. Let it go. And now the Roos again. Brenner again inside to Stanton, who takes a great mark and will go back and have another shot on goal.
They look dangerous, don't they? Particularly some of those small forwards. And Stanton's just so electric, Damo, his first 5 or 10 metres, and allows him to get separation from his opponent. Great for his confidence here if he can kick this one. You mentioned last week, so he's ended up with 10 or 11 scoring shots in the game of footy, which is an outstanding effort. The only thing that he would like to change is obviously his accuracy from in front of goal, and he gets an opportunity here for the Roos third.
Is to make it 20 points. Little pocket rocket. What can he do? Looks okay. Clarence get another. That's 3 for the game. They lead this one by 20 points.
Not sure if the man behind the footy is working at this particular point in time for Launceston. Jake Hines has won a little bit of the footy, but they're just breaking down across the centre of the ground. Clarence are picking him off with some of the defensive work in particular. I wonder how long they'll hold that one for. Looks like he's still going to stay there, Jake Hines. So at the moment, Clarence have got the game on their terms. They're happy to sit Wiley back behind the footy. And at the moment, Launceston, midfield need a real lift for them at the moment.
Absolutely, in it goes. Will they lift here? Good hit out, down for Powerfreeman. Then to Lonigan. Long, will it be there first inside 50? Rundle tracks it down, sells some candy, comes back on the right, throws it on the boot, looking for none. And he takes it. So 1 inside 50, 1 mark.
He's a classic role player for them, isn't he? And we mentioned him last week. His first year at TSL footy, I think, might have come across in Bridgenorth, and when we've seen him, he's been a really honest player for them. Hits up at the ball carrier, can also float inside 50 and take a mark overhead, like we've just seen there. and he's a critical player for them, and they certainly need this goal here.
So none. Distance should be no troubles at all. Accuracy the question. Comes on in and pops it through. So Launceston reply and cut the margin to 14. Tell you what we saw there, Breno, is the dominance of Leedham and what it can do to the Launceston Blues. Armchair ride service there from Leedham, down for Palfreyman, two of their key players involved, and it ended in a goal.
Yeah, and again, this is what happened last week, wasn't it? We saw Glenorchy skip away early, and they could never ride off Launceston. They always find a way to get back, and the margin now back to just 14 points as we get underway in the middle again. O'Donoghue into the ruck now for Launceston. Lonigan goes to ground. Ball can't get out. Players wrap themselves up with it, and the umpire will ball it up. So it's almost 17 minutes gone in the opening term. Big day of finals footy ahead. AFL and TSL. Siggins had it all on his own, but was done for a push. So O'Donoghue now will get the kick for Launceston. He gets the handball away. Move it forward, the Blues. Lonigan's there. Can he get the footy? He can't. Goes the way of Brainerd. They still do well though, the Blues, but it's just beaten them to the boundary, and another ball in.
Lonnie would be delighted with the start of Ryan Tyrrell, just taking off from where he left off last week. A lot of touches in the first 15 minutes of this game.
Good young player is Tyrrell. So it's back in again. O'Donoghue taps down. Blackberry can't quite gather. Harper coming in for the Roos to farm it out. It's picked up in the end by Lonigan. Slapped on the boot by Arundel. Inside 50, and Wiley's there as a loose, but he doesn't take the grab because Chambers does. Out they come now, the Roos. Bailey, a long raking ball, looking for Brenner. He punches down, but it favours the Blues. Picking up is Taylor. A wayward handball, but it'll find its target in Kelly Mansell. But it trickles out of play. He's been quiet so far, Kelly Mansell. We've seen him in the rough and tough, trying to get into the opposition, but it's not really happening for him.
I think they've got him now where he's most damaging though, which is inside that forward 50 for mine. Dame. He did start up on the wing, couldn't find the footy, and they've pushed him deep.
So tap down by O'Donoghue, a good one. Blackberry on the boot, usually lethal. Not on this occasion. Keegan Wiley chopping out superbly. So Wiley, a long bomb, looking for Brenner, an inclusion into this side. He doesn't gather. Smith does for the Blues. A little trickling ball, looking for Whiting. Whiting tries to find Kelly Mansell. He's wrapped up, but they managed to get it out now, the Roos. Brenner on the boot. Finds a hit-up target. And that is Weberly. Or it might be Blackburn.
Yeah,
it's Blackburn. So Blackburn, he was out of this side and then in it through a late out through Aiden Grace. So he gets the reprieve.
What would he be feeling there, Brent? He obviously dumped from the side, but then caught in at the last minute. Does it might play with your mind a little bit?
Yeah, possibly. Whether that'll knock his confidence around a little bit. He probably has lost a little bit of form over the last few weeks, but gee, he gets an opportunity now, and he's clearly in their best 22 when he's up and firing.
Here's Weberly, that cork looking okay at the moment. It's given him trouble all week since the match last weekend. The Roos move it forward again through Silver, and Aganis though takes a good mark.
He's an improved player, this boy.
He is. He's a fantastic player for Launceston. Said Damo last week, I think they've found one in Aganis, haven't they?
Absolutely.
So he goes to the boundary. O'Donoghue couldn't take the mark and out of bounds for another boundary throw-in. Almost time on. Roos lead it by 14.
This is what you'll find. Leedham will come off around about the 20-minute mark of most quarters, boys, and Donoghue will go into the ruck. They'll go a little bit smaller inside their forward half, Launceston, and look to lower their eyes and find players like Whiting and Kelly Mansell.
Connor Smith gets it inside to Palfreyman. He's got Hines on his own here in front of us on the broadcast wing. Oh. So Holmes tried to wrap him up, but Hines has it. What does he do? He goes the short option to Garnis on again. So really busy right across the ground to Garnis. Not much on offer, so he pops it up. Kelly Mansell from behind couldn't take the grab, but the Clarence player does. It might be Wade Wall, is it?
Bailey.
Bailey. So Jason Bailey goes a short option to Michael Fisher. Fisher gets it in. Oh. And Palfreyman was there to collect for Launceston. He tucks it under his arm. And now the Blues have a chance. It's a high ball from Shepherd and punched away out of bounds for another boundary throw-in. So 14 points is the margin. Low scoring affair early, just like the AFL last night. Donahue still in the ruck along with Sam Siggins. Donahue wins it on this occasion, taps it. Savage was there. Donahue gets the footy back. Siggins, and umpires blowing the whistle for a hold. Advantage paid to the Blues. They drive it forward. Nunn.
Great kick. Centres
it beautifully. And now Savage has the ball. Distance will trouble him from here, Brownie.
He's got to look to lay off. The problem he's got, Breno, is there's a lot of Clarence players sitting in the hole, including Nathan Douglas. So he just has to work his way through this.
He pops it up, and Kelly Mansell's there. Can he get the footy? He can't control it, and it's out of bounds.
And that's why the kick was forced wide. Clarence had numbers back in that hole. So they'll just have to be really patient with some of their inside 50 work at the moment, Launceston. And that's what happens when both teams sit a player behind the football.
So thrown back in again, Siggins, and Nunn on this occasion. Nunn outworks him. Comes out to the back. Tyrrell gathers. He's wrapped up in a big tackle. Brown now for the Blues, also wrapped up. And ball up inside the square.
Sorry, Damon. This is a sort of play where Clarence can be really damaging. That slingshot footy style that they can do. Just watch if they can break away from a stoppage here.
So out the back it comes. Falls to Gillow. Gillow has Shepherd on and uses him. Shepherd now, a little kick, looking for Kelly Mansell, and that's terrific from Castle. Just held his man and took the mark over the back.
They'd be happy at Damo with their intercept marking at the moment, the Roos. Castle, Bailey, Wiley, all of it's a bad error.
The mark was good, but the kick wasn't. Kelly Mansell all over him. Oh, Wiley good, gets the hands out. Silver has his ball blocked. Chambers takes one on. Looks inside, misses his target, finds Shepherd instead. Gathering was Tyrrell, looking for Gillow. It's taken by Bushner. Blocking was Lonigan. Wrapped up in a tackle. No holding the ball, says the umpire. We'll ball it up.
It's a great experience, rain, hail or shine for some of these Launceston players. People like young Casey Brown. There's a free kick off the ball here though, boys. It's going to go to the ruckman in Leadham.
So big Leadham, I think he's been good early. So throws it on the boot. It's a big booming boot inside 50. There was no flyers in a blue jumper, just Bailey all on his lonesome, and he takes the grab. So Bailey out of defence, hugging the boundary, just finds Douglas. Douglas now looking inside, finds Jones, hands off. This is where they're electric, the Roos. Fisher now breaking away. Brown in the nick of time, he gets the kick out, Fisher. Tumbling inside 50, gathering with Savage. He's met with a Blackburn tackle. Waywall tries to paddle it the Roos way. Holmes now tracking Williams. It's an ugly kick, but it finds its target in Palfreyman. So the Blues just breathe a sigh of relief. Palfreyman, high, long ball. The flyer is Nunn, doesn't get to him. Over the top is Leadham in a foot race with Gleeson. You won't back the big man, but he tackles Gleeson, and it might work out well for the Blues. Kelly Mansell to Lonigan, then to Boyce. Oh, his kick's not the best. Blocked by Bailey, and they survive Clarence. But that kick may well be deliberate, as there was no one out there. Luckily, it stays in. Running across was Connor Smith for the Blues. He hands inside and gets a free kick.
Gee, that was a disappointing inside 50 kick there from Boyce, because Launceston had the numbers there, and wasn't it a great tackle from Leadham? Great call by you, Damo.
Smith, it's blocked by Bailey. It's handed out by Harper. Ball down the line. Blackburn too late. Vandervelde arrives first, takes the grab. Another one of these improved backmen for the Blues. His kicking does let him down, and it does on this occasion. It's snared by Standard, gets the hands off. Brenner being good early, finds Webberley. Back over the top, Standard just punches on. Webberley will have another look. Hands inside. Chambers on the boot. I think the siren may have beaten him. It's shepherded through. What will the call be? It's a major.
Wow.
Clever work by Holmes.
Really clever, really
Well,
clever.
just wait a moment, fellas, as umpire Mark Tuckett will consult his goal umpire. I think it still be a goal. Yep.
Well,
nothing coming there. So
that was so clever from Holmes. Really, really clever.
just in the nick of the time, Gabby Chambers adds another for the Clarence Roos, and they've got a strong lead at the end of the first quarter.
Well, that's a body blow for Launceston there, 20 points, and I just thought they were starting to work their way back into it as well, Brent. Just the last 10 or 15 minutes, they started to get some repeat inside 50 entries. What hurt them was their ball use. They need to lower their eyes and find some targets, because at the moment, Clarence are picking them off with some of their intercept marking inside the 50. We've mentioned Bailey, Wiley, another player just trying to think. Castle took one as well in that first quarter, so that'd be a concern for them. So they need to obviously change things up a little bit with their ball use. And we mentioned Keegan Wiley, who's sitting behind the footy, as we can see Jeremy Weatherly coming off at the moment too, boys, and he's hobbling, so I'm not too sure how fit he looks. He looks in a bit of trouble for mine, just trying to read his body language.
Yeah.
But Launceston just a solitary goal, which came from some great work by Jake Nunn. So some real concerns there, I think, for Launceston. They're pretty content, as we know, to try and set up Jake Hines behind the footy, but they do need a bit of a lift out of Jay Blackberry. We know we mark him pretty highly, but hasn't been able to get his hands on the footy much. Whiting's been pretty well held at this particular point in time. Kelly Mansell hasn't been able to find the footy, so there's still some upside for them. For the Roos perspective, well, they'll be certainly pleased with how they had the game on their turns, and particularly their effort. I thought the first 10 minutes, their tackling pressure, a couple of Michael Fisher's run-down tackles really set the tone for Clarence. So they'd be pleased with their start, because obviously the danger coming out of this one, Breno, was the last quarter. And would they continue on? I talked about the last quarter against Lauderdale. Will they continue on with, I guess, some of that form where they, were really overrun and maybe bereft of some confidence? But that certainly hasn't been the case in the first 30 minutes of this one.
It's been a hot start for the Roos in a do-or-die clash. Of course, the winner going through to the prelim. For the loser, there's no tomorrow. You got the goal kickers there,
Just trying to think, who kicked that last one, boys? That was
Gabby Chambers.
Gabby Chambers, wasn't it? So Gabby Chambers has kicked one. We've also had one to Ian Callanan, Jared Harper and Trent Standen. And for Launceston, the sole goal kicker has been Jake Nunn.
So a good start for the Roos. The Blues with a bit of work to do, but we saw their response last week against Glenorchy in the second term. Do they have it in them again? Stay with us. We'll have a brief break and be back for the second stanza here from Blunston Arena. So back at Blunston Arena, second term on the way. At the moment, it's the Clarence Roos with a 14-point lead over Launceston. A bit of a confusing finish to the first term, fellas. A kick right on the end of the quarter, and there was a bit of conjecture whether it was a goal. We believe it wasn't a goal at this point.
Well, it was funny because the goal umpire signalled a goal, but it didn't look like he did the flag. So, yeah, disappointing for Clarence because that would have been a nice little buffer for them, even though they've still got one at the moment.
I think it was the right call for the record. I thought the kick just came after the siren, but who knows? And there was probably a fair shout for a free kick as well with Holmes' work.
It was, wasn't it? It was a bit similar to what we saw. Was it last night? Did Jack Rewalt?
Jack Rewalt, yep.
It wasn't unlike that one, so maybe that's a bit of a let-off. Let's hope we don't end up replaying that one during the week for Carl Saunders and the boys if there's only a goal in this one. But the concern for me, for the Roos perspective, is we're looking now at Jeremy Weberly coming off the ground, and to me, I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's done, boys. Just the way his body language is, and he's walking off. I'd say that that calf is giving him a bit of trouble, and clearly he has been injured, spending a lot of time forward. We're used to him rolling up onto the wing and off half back and those sorts of positions, but a different role for him this season, spending a lot of time forward. So we'll see. Let's hope he's okay and it's just precaution, but just looking at him now, he's just away from the playing group as we speak in terms of the other players that are on the bench. So he may well be coaching from a different area of the ground. So just looking at the centre bounce setup, it's pretty similar to what we saw in the first quarter. Siggins in the ruck, O'Brien's there, Gleeson's also there for Clarence, but Hines has gone into the middle for them. I like that move, and we're back to one-on-one all over the ground. So I just think that could suit Launceston a little bit better. Blackberry's in there for them, and also Polkerman. So they do have the big guns. I don't know how you saw the ruck, Damo, but I thought young Leedham was pretty good. Loved his run-down chase. And he's a pretty competitive player, pretty underrated player, it's got to be said, because he seems to do the job for them most weeks.
He's had a ripping year, Hamish Leedham. He has that competitive edge that I think holds him in good stead in a lot of contests. Up we go. Let's have a look at him here. Siggins and Leedham. Leedham again with the advantage, but straight down and going nowhere. We'll go again from the middle of Blunston Arena. Two big men go at it. Leedham gets best position. It's a great hit out. Palfreyman just gets it to Taylor. Over the top is Blackberry. He's been quiet. He just drops the footy at the crucial time as his ball blocked as he regathers. Gleeson being good. Goes along looking for Wall. Wall tries to work Vanderveld under it. No good. It comes away. Picked up by Blackberry. Looking for Taylor. Finds Hines instead. Bustling through. The youngster finds a target and it's Whiting. So Whiting, he's got Denellen on to the right if he wants him. Ignores that. Goes for the long lead of Kelly Mansell. Not a bad kick. Coming back was Fisher. A timely fist. Finds Bushner. Out of defence they head. And it's young Brenner who's been good. An inclusion into this side.
He's played some Mariners footy, young Brenner, but I'm glad he's back in the team. They like his sureness, I think, by hand and foot. Normally a pretty good decision maker.
He's been good so far. Jones to Gleeson. Really get into the game, Jack Gleeson. But this little goose step almost brings him undone. Just good enough in the end to squeeze out a kick. Coming through was Denellen. Silver now for Clarence. Can't keep the footy. Ling with a tackle, but it's high. So it'll be a Launceston ball. And it's Boyce with a long and strong kick. Looking for O'Donoghue. The big fella takes the mark. And he'll line up for Launceston.
Well, that's almost their best inside 50 entry, apart from the one where Jake Nunn was able to take a contested mark early in the first quarter. He had a height advantage there, Donoghue. That's what he's in the team for. Much experienced player. Expect him to go into the ruck at about the 20-minute mark to give Leedham a spell, but the rest of the time he'll spend forward. Great overhead mark and gets an opportunity now for Launceston.
O'Donoghue from the pocket. It's a big kick. It's a great kick. Through it goes. So the perfect start for the Blues in the second term. They cut the margin.
Yeah, and look, he's an underrated player in terms of their structure, I reckon, Nathan O'Donoghue, because you can't just rely on Sonny Whiting as that small forward. There are days, particularly in finals, where you do need that long kick down the line or that one tall target that can stand up and take a mark for you, and that's exactly what he did on that occasion. Zach Bushner's the man with the matchup today, so he may have his work cut out there. But just like the look of Launceston in the first 5 minutes of this quarter, boys.
Big news here, Jeremy Webberley starting the quarter on the bench. Will we see him play any further part? We'll wait and see. Didn't look good at quarter time. Ball goes to ground, so that's a huge thing if he doesn't take any further part in the game. He spoke during the week about his frustration with injury. It's really cost him of late. Lead him. And the kick goes away. Oh, mark taken out in front by Wade Wall. He turns around quickly and goes. He's got Callanan. Callanan can't take the mark. Williams is there as well. And the umpire's blowing the whistle for a throw, so it'll go Launceston's way.
I think it was legging.
Kick off the ground, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kicking in danger, one of the two.
So it'll be Williams that'll take the kick for the Blues. High ball to the wing. Good mark taken out in front.
Young Gillo.
Yeah, Gillo was fantastic last week. He goes to the centre square and good mark by Paul Freeman. Great kick as well, you're right, Brownie. Paul Freeman was off and he's got Hines on his own. The kick gets to him in the end. Just Castle was definitely running towards it, but Hines did well to collect the footy. He goes inside 50 now, and the kick's not his greatest. It's all Clarence. Chambers is there, but somehow Whiting ends up with the footy. He sells some candy, turns around and just offline. Minus score.
There's actually great work on the mark there from Timmy Castle, because Jake Hines wanted to go to his right, but he forced him onto his right side, and that created the sloppy inside 50 there.
Chambers takes the mark for the Roos. Not a lot doing for him. So he decides to go the long option, goes to the wing. Wall's there, couldn't take the mark. Siggins was there behind as well. And now the Blues are away. Ball to ground, and umpire will blow the whistle, lets it go, and the Roos get out of it. Wall was there, O'Donoghue couldn't get the kick away, and now Chambers centres the footy. Hines tucks the footy under his own, gets the handball away. Agarnis is there, Standen. Agarnis brought to the ground. Williams. And now Standen collects the footy for Clarence. A high ball right, hugging the boundary, and out of bounds.
They'll be pretty pleased with the first 5 minutes, Launceston. Obviously, the goal to O'Donoghue was a bonus for them, but probably since the first 10 or 15 minutes of the first quarter, they've just been able to get it back on equal terms, and just 7 points of difference at the moment.
Just a quick one, boys. Joe Boyce to the bench and looks a little ginger on his right foot. We'll watch that with interest as Standen gets going. His kick's a shocker out on the full.
Yeah, he looks like he's limping in the lower leg region as well, so that could be a story in itself, boys, with both teams now potentially with one player out of the game early in the second quarter.
So Agarnis with ball in hand. He opts to take him on, drops it off for Tyrrell. A little handball for Williams. Back, returns the favour. It's a block ball. Fisted down the line, Shepherd gathers, but he's under Holmes' pressure, and it's out for a throw.
It's almost robbing Peter to pay Paul, but Jake Hines has gone into the midfield, which obviously gives them a boost forward to the centre with his kicking, but what they do lose is his penetration and his poise behind the ball, so it's not easy at the moment from a Launceston perspective to run it out of the half-back line when he's not there. Leadham
drops it down. It's Blackberry who gets it on the boot. A long raking ball, too long, out on the full. So Bushner will get running, looks to centre half back and finds Keegan Wiley. The inclusion into this side, good to see him back. A long ball looking for Castle. Coming in was Smith. A good punch from the youngster, and out it goes.
He's an important player for them, Connor Smith. We mentioned him last week. He's played some Mariners footy as a bottom age player, dropped out of the program this year, but certainly a versatile player.
Back in again, Leadham and Siggins, straight to Siggins' advantage. It lands on his lap. Tries to handball for O'Brien, misses him, bounces back to Siggins though, and then he finds Ling. Ling dashes forward, looking for Cox, favours Denellen, picks up the ball, finds Williams. He's under Callanan pressure, he's sweating it. A good tackle from the little master, and out it goes.
Just struggling to work his way into it at the moment, Jake Cox. Looks like he's coming off here for I hope it's a rotation.
He looks a little ginger.
Does look proppy.
Comes in again. So play continuing, injuries unfolding here as it falls for Harper. Harper has Silver, ignores that, and he's wrapped up.
Good news here, boys. Webberley back out of the ground, but still looking very, very ginger.
Very ginger. That is not the most confident of strides out onto the field. Leadham, great hit out, down for Palfreyman. Great sell of Candy, finds Vandervelde, keen to get going. To Smith, handballs to an out number, and it'll go Clarence's way. O'Brien, Douglas, Wiley does well in very little space. Twirls around, looks for Webberley, and Dunellen over the back. Takes a grab. Oh, the ball's blocked. They're on now, Clarence. Comes to Webberley, fresh on the ground. Comes out the back to Harper. A step and a tackle. A timely one from Savage. Brings the Roos undone.
He's been pretty good, Savage.
Standing filthy too, was all on his own back in the goal square, but just couldn't get the ball to him. Lead him now for the Blues. He goes wide. Palfreyman's his target, but Chambers is there. Looks like it'll be paddled over the boundary. No kept in at this stage. Chambers on, tucks the footy under, and it's
almost a try.
Yeah, he scored a try there, Chambers.
Just wondering, boys, from a Clarence perspective, Sam Siggins in the ruck at the moment, just wondering whether or not the change could be made, Wade Wall into the ruck, and maybe just push Siggins forward for 5 or 10 minutes. Can mark it overhead, and is a threat when he goes deep forward. That's
the voice of Cam Brown. Special comments this afternoon. O'Brien gets it inside 50. No good take the mark. Williams there to collect for the Blues. Gets the handball over the top. Rundle. And now Williams again on the kick. Friendly fire straight into the head of Leadham. Comes to us right in front of us here in the broadcast wing. O'Donoghue, Palfreyman. Palfreyman nice. Clever. Handball's off. Whiting now. He's got some space. Goes over the top and finds Taylor. He kicks right on the paint of 50. Can anyone take the mark? They can. It's the coach, Sammy Lonigan.
That was brilliant work from Launceston. The reason why they held onto the footy so long and waited for someone to come past on the overlap handball is there just wasn't a player that was in the right position to get the footy inside 50, so they were really patient in their build-up there. Sonny Whiting was really clever too with his use, and the inside 50 entry found a Launceston target. They're on top at the moment, boys.
Yeah, they certainly are. He said during the week his side had been disrespected in 2017. This for some more respectability on the scoreboard. It's good. It's back to a 1-point ball game.
Well, they did this last week, boys, didn't they? And they're doing it again. You really got to kick away from the Blues, because what we found with them, they're lethal once they get it inside 50.
Well, that was better, wasn't it? A really patient, intelligent use of the footy by hand just to get it inside. I was probably a little bit critical of them in the first quarter, just the way they were blazing away on a few occasions, and in the end bombing it to intercept marking from the Clarence defenders who were able to pick them off. But certainly the way they've started the first 10 minutes of this second quarter will be really pleasing.
Siggins with a hit out, can't find Ling. O'Brien bustling in, met with a Hines tackle. Blackberry now on Jones, falls for Hines, just gets it out on the boot of Leadham. It goes long. A good contest from Lonigan, but they should escape now, Clarence. Fisher tries to use his wheels, drops it off, finds Castle, O'Brien and then Wiley. Wiley finds Holmes, usually in defence, up forward today, doing a defensive job. Looking for Webberley, just misses the target, standing good enough to make something of it. Finds his skipper, over the top, it's a good kick. Looking for Brenner, makes a contest. Webberley bouncing, oh my, what a bounce. The leg spinner has done well for Webberley, and the Roos reply.
Well, that's a body blow there, isn't it, for Launceston? I thought Vandervelde was a brilliant spoil on that occasion. I thought the Clarence player was going to take the mark inside 50, but it was a snap goal out of nothing, and Jeremy Webberley, who's clearly hampered at the moment, but he's just going to prop himself up deep forward. He did something similar last week for his team against Lauderdale, but an important response there from the Roos.
Absolutely. As you said, Brownie, looks a little hampered at the moment, but if you can do that, keep him out there. As Leadham comes in, bangs it down. Hines now. Torp inside 50. O'Donoghue couldn't take the mark, running through. Lonigan might have been in the back. Umpire let it go. Wasn't the back. It's coming back, so the free kick will go to Sammy Lonigan, and he'll kick from where he did a few moments ago. So for the quick reply, and to cut the lead back to just 1 point.
He's causing them problems, Cam. He was really good last week, Sammy Lonigan.
And he spent, probably spent half the game, or probably 60% of the game forward too.
So Lonergan for his second goal inside a couple of minutes. Pops it through, and the lead back to just 1 point for the Roos.
Well, he becomes the first multiple goal kicker in this game. And we've just liked the look of the way Launceston have gone about it this quarter. They've certainly been a little bit smarter with their ball use. They're certainly going back to one-on-one all over the ground has certainly helped them. And they've gone away from trying to release Jake Hines behind the footy, which has made them a little bit more threatening inside. And at the moment, even though it's 1 point to different, boys, you just feel over the course of the last 20 or so minutes, even going back to late in the first quarter, Launceston are getting on top in this one.
They're a team full of confidence, the Blues. Down from Leadham, he'll try and pick up his own work, just swinging arms and legs all over the place. Harper does well in traffic, comes out for Clarence. Silva, a long ball, bouncing towards Callanan. Vanderveld in there first, the long arms of Vanderveld see it over for a throw.
They have to work it up and rely on leg speed here for inside 50 entries and goals, Clarence, because at the moment as we look down, you've got O'Brien, Weberly, Callanan, Standard, all not known obviously because of their stature in terms of for their overhead marking. So that's why I think Siggins could be a good option pushing forward at some stage this quarter.
Jake Cox still being worked on too on the bench.
Yeah, watch that with interest as they managed to get a kick out, Clarence, but it's good working traffic by Rundle. Finds Hines and then out through Taylor. Running through the centre of Blunston is Tyrrell, and his kick's not good at all. It's the opposing full back right on the chest in Bailey. Take his time to assess options. Finds Gleeson. Marks on the paint of defensive 50. So Gleeson just looking to arrest this little purple patch from Launceston. Agarnis, he was pushed in the back. I don't think the umpire saw it. Coming across this Taylor, keeps it alive. He might be able to mop up now, Taylor. Caught high. And the Blues will get the ball. So Taylor looks for Rundle. Finds Rundle. Made good space there, Rundle. An inclusion into this side. An experienced player just out in front of Gillo, who runs in and makes a contest of it, wrapping up Fisher. They'll work it out through hands, Clarence, but it's a misguided handball that almost sees the Blues in. Brenner, clever, puts it up for Fisher. His kick not the greatest, but it bounces to the favour of Wall. Clever finds Standard, slaps it on the boot, looking for Weberly. Savage comes back, can't take the mark. Right hot on his heels is Weberly. Coming across is Siggins. Weberly somehow emerges with it and falls for Leadham. Hands out the back. Savage in a Siggins tackle. Gets it on the boot and it'll bounce over the line. Questions asked of the umpire, but no free kick coming. So it'll be thrown back in. Joe Boyce has recovered as well, boys. We spoke about him earlier. He's out there. So thrown on in. It's a shallow throw. Siggins takes it on his own. Down for Callanan. Callanan has Taylor pressure. And the Blues all climb on top. It'll be another stoppage.
So approaching time on in the second term. Big afternoon of footy ahead, as we said earlier. North Launceston hosting Lauderdale for a spot in the grand final, this time in 2 weeks. Can't wait for that. Siggins gets boot to ball. Top of the square, mark couldn't be taken. Launceston have the footy at the moment. And now off the ground, little toe poke, but just to the left, minus score. So Clarence still leading now by 2 points. 16.5 gone. Williams to do the kicking in for the Blues. He goes right up the guts of Blunston Arena. Nunn takes the mark on the chest. It was a great kick, hit him beautifully. And now Smith to the wing. Little handball over the top. And now they're away. Boyce gets it inside 50. Lonergan again, causing real headaches up forward for the Roos defence. Go back and have another shot on goal.
It's fantastic ball use right from the kick out, wasn't it? And then and Jake Smith, and Then Joe Boyce on the end of that one, and he just waited until Sam Lonergan looked like he was going to go long, and then doubled back and went straight back at the ball carrier, and it was a lovely kick from Boyce. Lonergan opportunity for third goal in this quarter.
Yeah, to make it 3 from 3, it just goes across the face for a minus score. So Brady Jones now to kick it back in for the Roos. Captain, of course, former Tasmanian Tigers cricketer. Pushes to the left, oh sorry, the right. And now Wiley goes the short option. So 1 point the margin. Entertaining contest so far. Do or die, as we said earlier. No tomorrow for the loser as O'Donoghue takes a nice mark. An experienced campaigner he is too. Best on ground in the 2011 TSL Grand Final. Inside, good mark taken there by the Roos, and it was Gleeson.
He's been good.
He's been really good this afternoon. Gleeson throws it on the boot. Back to the O'Donoghue territory, but Holmes had the footy, but out of bounds, boundary throw-in.
There's still no sign of Jake Cox either, boys, so that's a bit of a concern for Clarence. He's been off the
It's been worked on, Brownie.
For about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, lying down on the table there, being worked on by the trainer. So the ball comes back in. Roos have it. Gleeson again gets his boot to ball, and now Chambers. He drives it forward. One-on-one contest, and Webley does well. Looks like his injury is no more. He's moving okay now. And Siggins is there.
Push.
Hallinan, push.
Yeah, it was there.
Well, that's because he didn't want to take front position on that occasion, Sam Siggins. That is his way often to want it over the back and use his athleticism to jump on top of his opponent, but he really needed to push up at the ball carrier there in that occasion.
They need more from Siggins, I think, Brownie, so far in this one. Leadham's
been well on top in the ruck.
Yeah, well on top. Vanderveld, high up and under, as often is the case off the boot of Vanderveld. It's picked up by a wall, a little tumbler towards Weberley. Blackberry snares it. Kept alive by Shepherd. No, says the umpire. Thrown back in. So they're into it. Rough and tough over there. Blackberry getting into Weberley. So in it comes. O'Donoghue down. Beautiful to Palfreyman. And they're away now. Smith with a burst. A good kick looking for Kelly Mansell. Can't quite find him. Chopped off by Fisher.
Having a good game, Michael Fisher.
Yeah, his last 3 or 4 weeks have been terrific.
Finds Brenner, the youngster, to Douglas. So Douglas ahead of Savage. Inside will find Wiley. Wiley will get it moving. A little kick looking for Cullinan. Can't quite get there. Coming in was Casey Brown. He's tackled by Cullinan. They get it out. Still up for grabs. On top was Jones. And it'll be balled up just outside 50. Attacking end for the Clarence Roos. So thrown up again, O'Donoghue, wall over the top, gets it to O'Brien, gets the hands out for Gleeson, can't get it on the boot, comes to Chambers, he's wrapped up to Gleeson again, just burrows in, look at him go, tries to get the ball out, it's still up for grabs, sidestepping was Brenner, but he got it with a throw, and it'll be a Lonnie ball. So hard and tough in there in the clinches.
Oh, great kick.
Kick out from Blackberry. Here's a good one, as Cam Brown suggested. Cries for 50, not paid. Smith now for Denellen. He's got the 50 in front of him. He can go towards Sonny Whiting. That's where he heads. Whiting! Takes the grab. And he'll line up for Launceston's 5th.
Well, they're hurting him with their ball use at the moment, Launceston. Nice deep inside 50 from Denellen on that occasion. His Clarence opponent just lost his footing, which allowed Whiting to get a free run and jump at the footy. And an opportunity to put Launceston in front, which I think would be for the first time today, is it, boys?
So for the lead, Sonny Whiting through the middle. Launceston have a lead here in enemy territory. They're on top.
Well, he likes this ground. We saw last time these two teams played back in July. He was his team's best forward on that occasion with 4 or 5 goals. He was terrific, I thought, last week, boys, against great opposition in Glenorchy, and he doesn't need too many touches, as we mentioned, and he's already had 1 or 2 goal assists in a low-scoring game. Won't be a long quarter either, just 5 goals scored in the second quarter.
Just news on the bench, boys. Weberley off again, looked really proppy walking off, and Cox got up for about a minute, if that. walked and sat straight back down. Looked like a groin. I'm no doctor, but he's moving around like it's a bit of a groin injury. We'll keep our eye on that. As Holmes has the footy for the Roos, pushes it forward. Oh, Mark. Couldn't be taken. Gets the footy back though, Jones. Right on 50, goes to Standen. Couldn't take the mark punch.
Great defensive punch.
Out of bounds.
Young Casey Brown.
It was Casey Brown, yeah. He's had some big roles this season at TSL senior footy. We've seen him play on Jay Bowden on occasions, and he's acquitted himself really well.
So big news is Cox off for Clarence. Webley too, not in great shape. As Standen has the footy, turns around, looks at goal, and just off to the right. So that would have been a handy one for the Roos as we approach half time. It's the Blues leading by 4 points. And Callanan off the ground too at the moment, but just having a spell. As Donnellan brings it back in for the Blues. Oh, good mark by Holmes. Oh, and maybe 50. No. So James Holmes, as we said earlier, the rising star, which was announced during the week. What a season he's had, his first season of senior footy. Savage, Aganis. Aganis gets the handball away. And now the Blues are away. Here they go through the middle of Launceston Arena. And look at this, Nunn's on here. He's got the whole 50 ahead of him. What's he going to do? Puts the boot to ball, but
no.
It's a shocker. And now Bushner will collect for the Roos. Castle over his head. Can't get the footy. Blackberry's in there for Launceston. So is Rundle. Rundle gets the footy. He comes out with it. Handball's away. Oh, it could be high. Umpire said play on. And the Roos get it away. Sorry, the Blues get it away. It's a great goal. Fantastic goal to Launceston.
Joey Boyce on that occasion.
And that's a big lead now. 10 points.
Didn't panic. Rode the tackle and still had the presence of mind to snap it around the corner. Fantastic quarter of footy again from Launceston. Gee, they're an honest, competitive team, Damo. They look like, again, it was a slow start for them in the first 10 minutes. As we mentioned, they didn't have an inside 50 in that first quarter, but they're starting to hurt them with their ball use, and particularly when they get on the outside, they're starting to worry Clarence, not only with their run, but their foot skills.
There's not too many tricks to Launceston. They just play an honest, combative, finals-type game, and you're right about their foot skills. That's where they're really getting on top, is Leadham. Wins the hit out. Siggins takes it though, steals, gets it on the boot. Bouncing ball, work for Blackburn. He's got a Garnis hot on his heels though, riding shotgun, a Garnis. Look to pick it up. Fine, Shepherd coming in and dealing with Jones was Blackberry, but it's out for a throw.
Essentially, with Webley coming on and off the ground, Cox may, potentially even be done for the day. It's starting to look that way. He's hardly played any game time at all in the second quarter. A lot rests now on the experienced players like Siggins, O'Brien, Jones for Clarence. Callanan's another one.
Off the boot of Leadham and bouncing back over for another throw. So that one went absolutely nowhere. So yeah, a couple of concerns for the Roos, their coach and one of their star players, Jake Cox. It's a shallow throw, doesn't meet the ruckman. Picking up was Chambers, just looking to burrow in and get it moving Clarence's way, rugby style. He's wrapped up though. Be another throw. So 26 minutes gone here in the second term, and it's Launceston with a 10-point lead. The Blues coming in as underdogs. A tap over the back by Siggins is good. Finds O'Brien, bursts away, looking for Wall. Will he take it on the second juggle? Not quite. Donnellan for the Blues, wrapped up in a tackle. Clarence want to keep it in there 50, and they do. So it'll be ball up again. Not long to go in this second term. Launceston on top. The Roos with some work to do.
Certainly do, that's for sure. As Blackberry gets the kick away, right to the boundary, and maybe a little too much on it, and out of bounds on the full. So Fisher will take the kick for Clarence as we approach half time. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Great game for us here in the first semi-final this afternoon. North Lonnie and Lauderdale to come a little later. Bushner takes the mark, plays on, wrapped up. Umpire said play on. And Launceston, can they get another here before half time? Umpire's blown the whistle for a throw, so Clarence will get the free kick.
Bushner owes Chambers a beer there, I reckon.
And there it is, half time. So a 10-point lead to Launceston, heading into the major break. 6-2-38 plays 4-4-28. Some real concerns for the Roos as we see Jeremy Webberley walk out into the ground. Looks okay, but we know he's been on and off, and Jake Cox looks terrible, to be fair, and I don't know if he'll be playing any further part in the game, boys.
Wonder what the injury is. He doesn't look good at all. He's in terms of his body language. It doesn't reek of a player that's going to re-emerge in the second half, but hopefully he does get back out there because the Roos need him. So they need a response in the second half because Launceston are on top, Brownie. I
don't know whether it's his lower back or something. He seemed to be having, as we mentioned throughout the stream, in that second quarter, he was certainly being worked on by the trainers. But what a fantastic quarter for the Launceston Footy Club. They go in leading this one by 10 points. Again, they have been the underdog coming into this game, but gee, they've played some terrific footy, and they'll also get a lot of confidence in terms of the way they ran out the game last week against Glenorchy. 5 goals that quarter to them, just the 1 to Clarence. And I mentioned it was just their ball use for mine, and some of their work by hands when they got on the outside, they looked really, really dangerous, and their inside 50 entries were just a lot smarter. Whether that was lowering their eyes, or at one stage there they did look for O'Donoghue, saw the matchup that he had, and they were able to exploit that. Sam Lonigan pushed forward, was able to turn his man inside out on a couple of occasions. Sonny Whiting got on the scoreboard, so Joe Boyce kicked a terrific late goal there. And Clarence, really, it was only a goal out of nothing from Jeremy Webberley, so there'd be some concerns for mine. They're getting beaten around the contest, and that the forward line at the moment, that small forward line, which has often served them so well, is not working for them at the moment. So for me, they have to change something a little in the second half to get back into this contest, whether or not that's Siggins forward for a while, and maybe you throw Wall in there to give a real contest with Leadham, who I think has beaten Siggins in the ruck. I don't think they can go back to what's been happening for them in the first half. There needs to be a degree of unpredictability for the Roos in the second half.
That's been not something they've really dealt with so far this season, Brownie. They've pretty much kept with a settled 22 and just rolled it out each week on end, and it's worked for them. But you're right, the last couple of weeks is the same last week. They don't seem to have the ability to just spin the magnets and do something a bit different.
I'd love to see Ian Cullinan start in the centre of the ground in this third quarter, just to get him involved. You know he's electric by foot, both left and right, and if he can just get his hands on the footy, he can do some real damage with some inside 50 entries. Then maybe you push him forward. O'Brien, Jones, they probably need a lift out of those two boys in the second half. Siggins, I think, has been well down for them. Their backline's probably, stood up okay, considering. But for mine, some concerns for them at halftime. I think they've certainly got the ability to bounce back, but the third quarter, I'm not sure, Breno, where you think there's any real major breeze to speak of, but traditionally we see the scoring end to the right of screen.
We know if there's breeze about, Breno, because where we are is an absolute wind tunnel, and there's not too much up here this afternoon, so I think it'll be pretty good out there for the players.
Goal kickers, Damo?
Yeah, if you can run us through those, or even palm it off to Breno, get him to do something.
Is that right? Well, I'll go. I'll take the heat off him. But Sam Lonigan at the moment is the only multiple goal scorer of the game. He kicked 2 in that second quarter. 1 also to Sonny Whiting, Nathan O'Donoghue, Joe Boyce and Jake Nunn. And for the Roos, just the 4 goal kickers. And all singular players. Ian Cullen has 1, Jared Harper has 1, Jeremy Webberley and Trent Standen.
So the Smalls on the board for the Roos. They've got some work to do, and they've got some injury worries. 10 points adrift at the major break.
Tomorrow for the loser, Damo.
Exactly right.
Don't go anywhere.
We'll have a breather.
Just thought I'd have
Breno chucking something in there.
He's got the votes, I think, Dave.
He does have the votes, so he'll be mulling over those in the 2 quarters to come.
Potentially just the odd numbers for his votes too.
We'll have a break now and be back for the second half. Stay with us. A cracker on the way. So back for the second half here at Launceston Arena. It's the Roos and the Blues, and at the moment Launceston are on top, a 10-point advantage heading into the half. Clarence with some concerns, namely injuries. Jeremy Webley, their coach, playing under duress of a calf injury, and Jake Cox, which what looks to be a hip injury, in a spot of bother. They've got some work to do, boys. What do we expect from this second half?
Yeah, look, just trying to see if we can see Cox emerge. Looks like he hasn't. Webley, can't quite see, but yeah, look, it's going to be a test if they're down, you know, a player on the bench. That's for sure. You can see someone at Damo.
Yeah, Webley's out there, so he'll continue. He's a warrior. He's soldiering on, but I cannot spot Jake Cox at this point in time.
No, he was definitely done. I think we just watched him at half time, Damo, and his body language looked like he was resigned to the fact that he wouldn't be participating at all in the second half of this game. So they're certainly going to have to do it without one of their prime movers. 10 points down at the moment, so really not a lot in this contest. And Clarence just need to get back to the basics, I think. Some hard grunt footy, try and win that contested footy, and try and, you know, I guess when it's not working for them up forward, that's the concern, because obviously that small forward line at the moment, and they haven't been able to really get any of that slingshot footy which they're known for, when they can win it off half back and then just surge forward. And that hasn't been able to happen too often for them in the first half. That may change. Whether or not they look at a little bit of different personnel in there, it will be interesting to see, Damo, because at the moment Launceston would fancy themselves. 5 goals second quarter, and they got right on top with their outside run, and certainly their ability to hit targets by hand and foot really hurt Clarence, and they're able to spot up some targets inside 50. Clarence just haven't been able to really force any great ball use probably since halfway through the first quarter in terms of getting some marks inside 50. It's sort of been fairly hard work in terms of the way they've got some of their goals, and they're relying on their small forwards, as we know, which is interesting to see now, boys, how we go after the second half. Looks like Jake Cox is
he's in the trackie.
He's in the tracksuit, so he's gone. Just trying to see if there's going to be any changes at all for the way that Clarence start up.
They need to do something, don't they, Brent?
Well, yeah, I've probably banged on about it for a while, and so have you, Damo. We'd just like to see something a little different for them. Just looking, is it maybe is Douglas maybe going forward for them? Yeah, he is. So he's more a bullocking type of player for them. So he looks like he's going to go down to full forward. I don't mind that, just for something a little bit different. Callinan's going down there. Jones, as you mentioned, Webley. Blackburn as that medium-sized hybrid forward, as we like to say, Damo. Launceston will again start with O'Donoghue at full forward. Boyce will be at his feet. Nunn is that bullocking centre-half forward. And still a bit of upside for mine too for Launceston. Blackberry, Kelly Mansell, they're the sorts of players too that I think could have big second halves here.
Half to play, who do you like?
Oh, I like Launceston at the minute. They look the better team, that's for sure. And with one down on the bench, it'll get interesting.
Leadham now with a hit out, getting it moving along his way. They finished the term on top. O'Brien caught high, no free kick coming. I have another crack at things. I think the start is important here, Brownie, for Clarence. They need to start with a bit of energy, especially if they're short on the bench. Jake Cox in a tracksuit. Bustling through is Rundle. Oh, he just deals with Gleeson. Still got the ball. Unfortunately, had it a little too long. Good work from Sammy Siggins.
That's what he needs to do now. Douglas is working for him up on the logo.
He goes out to the outer side. Finds a number in Ling. So Ling got Blackburn leading out to him, and that's where he heads. Blackburn on the chest. This is better from the Roos. Puts it on the boot. Long looking for Standen. He's got Brown to deal with. Over the back is Douglas. Switch forward. Unfortunately, he can't bring it under his spell before it crosses the boundary line.
Some of the big guns starting for Launceston on the bench in the third quarter. Jake Hines, Sonny Whiting, Kelly Mansell, and also young Ryan Tyrrell.
That is a very good bench as it's thrown on in. Leadham all alone. Drops it down, but it falls to Douglas. Can't gather. Power from him bustling through. Over the top finds Denellen. He goes to Vandervelde, and it bounces out of play. And again, Clarence will have another look at it. So right in for them. At 10 points adrift, an early goal would do the well world of good as it comes in. Blackburn, an unlikely ruckman. He's dealt with. A Garnis at the races. Off for Rundle and then Lonigan. This is good, the Blues. The kick wasn't fantastic. Bailey can't gather and it's out of play. So the Blues playing sensational, simple footy and just better by foot for mine. He'll be thrown in. Leadham been terrific in the ruck. Siggins needs a lift. He wins this one. Looking for Chambers. Shepherd wrapped up. Going nowhere.
Launceston have the extra man at the stoppage at the moment. That's because Keegan Wiley's sitting back as that loose man in defence, as he so often does for the Roos.
So do or die this afternoon. Clarence staring down the barrel of a straight sets exit from the TSL final series if they can't win this afternoon. Here's Brady Jones wrapped up in a big tackle. Umpire will ball it up.
That's good play there by Brady Jones. He just had to ride that tackle, not cough it up and get the ball up, and Clarence can start again.
Never good to go out straight sets, Brownie, is it? We saw Clarence do it a couple of years ago under Matthew Drury. But as Jeremy Weberly said during the week, they've come from a long way back, Clarence. So as Launceston push it forward, good mark taken out in front by Bushner. He goes backwards, finds Wiley back in the team this afternoon. Failed that concussion test. A great kick to Castle. He plays on quickly. He spots up Brady Jones. It might be a little too much on it. It was. Umpire's blowing the whistle here. Free kick going to Dunellen in the shiny orange wheels.
It's been pretty good again, Dunellen.
He has. I thought he was terrific last week. Been tremendous again.
Can't find a target, so he goes to the boundary. And good mark taken by Vanderbilt.
Get around and for a handball here, boys.
Not much doing for him. So he goes high ball, really
loves
high.
a high ball.
A lot of snow on the mountain today. It might come down with some of it.
Absolutely. None. Handballs. And now Wiley again, but the ball goes out of bounds. Almost 4 minutes gone. 10 points still the margin. Clarence with the work to do at the minute, with one player out for the game in Jake Cox on the bench in his tracksuit. Big loss for Clarence, important player of course. Chambers, he's wrapped up by Leadham. And again, another ball up. They're just back on the straight sets, Brownie. It's never nice, is it, to exit in that fashion from a final series?
No, it just sort of burns in your stomach over the pre-season, because it obviously means you've been good enough in the top for the roster part of the season to be in the top three, and then to lose both finals, and that can really sting. So let's hope, though, the Roos certainly aren't out of this one. It's
Absolutely.
Only 10 points, so if they can get their hands on the footy and get some smart ball use and inside 50 entries, well, then they're right back into this contest.
And Tommy Shepherd has the ball for the Blues. He pushes it back to the far wing and finds Savage. He pops it up, Savage, and finds his teammate. And just slowing things up here at the moment, Launceston. Not a lot happening in the forward line. So they go to the paint of 50, and good nudge away there from Bushner. And he takes the mark, plays on quickly. O'Brien gets the handball off to Fisher. Fisher bursting through here at Launceston Arena, but Williams in front takes a good mark. And was dealt with as well, but he plays on.
He's been good, Williams. He's had Callan for most of this game, and Callan just with the one goal.
Wolferman kicks the footy forward, marked by Gillow. He was tremendous last week, as we said earlier. He spots up Nunn. Nunn goes short. The target wasn't hit. Blackberry's there, but the Roos escape danger. Holmes, umpire's blowing the whistle. And the ball's coming back.
He actually had a bit of time and space then, Nunn. He almost could have hit the ground running and broke the 50 and gone on and had a running shot for goal, but he elected to go in board.
It was a strange target too for mine, the one he looked to hit up, because there wasn't a lot of space there, but the Roos ball. Wiley now hit on the lead, turns and ran himself into trouble. Lonigan all over him.
Gee whiz.
No free kick, lucky for the Roos. Gillow now on top of it. The pack forms, I tell you what, got away with one there.
He's instinctive the way he likes to go about it, Keegan Wiley, and certainly from those marks that he does take inside 50, in the defensive 50, likes to play on. On that occasion, he was the wrong decision, lucky to get away with it.
It's hit down. Calls for deliberate. What's the umpire going to do? No. Throw back in. They're struggling to get their rebound game going, Cam Brown. They've scored most of their goals this season through rebound and turnover, not too much from stoppage. So they need to get that going because Launceston have had the lion's share when it comes to stoppage. Be thrown in. Down from O'Donoghue. Try and work it out here, Clarence. Tunnel ball through the legs of Siggins. O'Brien on the boot, looking for Standen over the back. He's read that well, but Williams arrives at the right time. Callanan, a bit of magic almost. Takes it somehow from Savage. There to Standen, hands it out. O'Brien in trouble. Well done, Launceston. They get it out of there. Savage to Shepherd, a cool head. Goes inside. Finds a Garnis, doesn't quite take the grab. Savage with hands to the big man Leadham. He likes to kick long. He does kick long, and he finds O'Donoghue in acres of space. Runs on in, puts it through, and Launceston kick out to a 16-point lead. Fantastic movement from the Blues.
Oh, look, it's a second goal for Nathan O'Donoghue. As you called it, Damo, a terrific ball movement again. Some real danger signs for me for Clarence. Just the 4 goals scored in this game. Even going back to the last half of last week, they only got 3 goals in the second half from memory. So they just need, for mine, to do something a little bit different in that forward line. Maybe you roll the dice with Zach Bush and push him down there. He's one that can, with his explosive speed, can kick goals.
Danger signs starting to develop for the Roos now. 16-point margin. Only 3 on the bench as the ball goes inside and Donnellan takes the mark.
The blokes like Donnellan, Williams, a lot of these Launceston players just play their role week in, week out.
Donnellan hugs the boundary. Hines was his target, but he's gone out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. Right in front of us here.
Their defence was probably the area of weakness, I thought, coming into finals, but a lot of these players have just hit their straps at the right time, Brownie.
Yeah, certainly. Even Vanderveld certainly does a role. Obviously, not a great kick of the footy, but gee, some of his defensive spoiling and his ability to beat his opponent one-on-one contest is terrific.
Well, out of bounds again as Leadham.
The Garnis is another one, so.
Leadham and Gleeson having a bit to say to each other behind play. Jack Gleeson just on the knife's edge of being deregistered, so has to be really careful as it comes back in. Wade Wall and Leadham go at it. Oh, Paul Freeman, brilliant. Escapes, gets it off to Williams, who pops it inside 50. Just over the head. Wiley was there. Holmes gets it back into Wiley, but he's taken high by none, and a free kick paid. So the Roos will get that, and Wiley will take the kick. Really important player for Clarence. He switches. He was about to switch play, but instead goes up the middle, just outside the centre square. Pack flies. Jones gets the footy. He's wrapped up. Gets the footy away. Garnis now. Paul Freeman. And now Hines gets the handball. Cheeky handball over the top. Taylor. Garnis inside 50. Lonigan, who was busy in that first half, kicked a couple of goals. And now the Roos escape trouble. Good mark taken by Walt.
Sammy Siggins has got to push really hard here, give him something further down the line.
So Walt, he drives it long, but Launceston out in front. It's pushed outside for a boundary throw-in.
I just wonder with Sam Siggins, he's at the moment, I think Leadham's been terrific for Launceston in the ruck. It's probably not going to be a day where he's going to get on top of him. I just, again, think it's an opportunity for him to push forward, particularly in this quarter.
In it comes again. Wall and Leadham go at it. They've had a battle this afternoon. Jackson O'Brien's in there. The Roos get the footy out, head towards 50, but Garnis again collects. It's just been so important to them.
They're just well set up, aren't they, behind the...
Intercepted by Webberley. And now, can the Roos get it inside? Webberley has it back again. He turns around, Will's inside 50. Mark taken by Standen. Wasn't paid, it was. Yes, just. So Trent Standen.
It was a great kick from Webberley. He had to take a little bit off the kick on that occasion because Launceston again had numbers set up behind the football for potentially what looked like going to be a long inside 50 from Weberley, but he just lowered his eyes. Gee, this becomes an important kick now for Trent Stanton.
Sure does, Brownie. Underestimating, I reckon. It's a very, very, very important kick. He's directly in front, and it's off to the left for a point. So, unfortunately for Clarence, the lead's still 15 points halfway through, or just almost 12 minutes gone this third quarter.
So Dunellen to kick out now for the Blues. They're in control of this ball game. 7-2-44, plays 4-5-29. Dunellen being very good. This kick almost intercepted by O'Brien. Well done by Hines. Takes the grab. Little kick down the wing. Will find Gillo. Been sure by foot today, Launceston. They don't seem to bite off more than they can chew. Along it goes, looking for O'Donoghue. Battling well with Bailey. Sonny Whiting looks to slap it over the top. Bailey does well. Finds Castle short. Castle, a tumbling ball. It's punched on by Stan, well read by O'Brien. Gets it on the boot, bouncing towards Gull. Will it bounce? Well, it's cut off. Callanan's still there, but out it goes.
Yeah, again, really good play from the Launceston defender to get ball side. I think it was Ryan Tyrrell on that occasion up against a quality opponent, Ian Callan, but because he was goal side of his opponent, it made it difficult for Callan to get into a position where he could score.
In it goes again. Leadham. Down, Callanan almost, looking for Webley. Callanan again, he's thrown that out. Fisher on the boot, is it bouncing the right way? No, it isn't. Minor score. So these behinds are not helping the Roos, Brent.
No, more scoring shots as well now for Clarence, 10-9. And now they've got the ball though, and that's a goal. So just what the doctor ordered for the Roos. Fantastic goal from Alex Silva. And now the margin back to with just into 8 points.
Well, it was actually Jake Hines that kicked from full back there. Just tried to hit someone up about 15 or 20 metres out. And Clarence's zone was pretty well set up for that kick. And the defensive punch came in, and it was young Silva, who we've mentioned, Damo, has worked his way into this Clarence senior team. So great for him that he's been able to experience finals footy. He's a competitive player. Does a lot of work, I guess, defensively. Some of his tackling. Pressure on the ball carrier is a key feature of his game, and on that occasion he kicked a badly needed goal.
Leadham straight down to Rundle, and he's away on the boot. Sam Rundle looking for Lonigan. Fisher, superb. Keen to get going, finds Holmes. Oh, he's into a bit of trouble now. Great tackle. Lonigan over the top. Nunn in the pocket, tied up against the boundary. Gillow can't take the mark. It's on hands. It's almost from Bailey. Socket from Blackberry. Launceston again extend the lead. They couldn't kill it, the Roos, and they're made to pay.
Yeah, Michael Fisher was very keen to play on that occasion. It's almost seems like it's an instruction. Once they get the ball and intercept it from inside, from the defensive 50, they want to go. But it was just a tackle there, and unfortunately, the Clarence player just coughed up the footy from the tackle. And ever the opportunist, Jay Blackberry, who's been pretty quiet today. But he is a goal kicker, and we saw him work his way into the game last week beautifully with 3 goals as a midfielder. And gee, that's disappointing for the Roos, just as you felt like potentially they were going to get back into this contest. Callanan has gone into the middle, which we've been calling for, boys. So I like this just for 5 or 10 minutes, see if he can get his hands on the footy.
Hines juggles it, gets away, just gets rid of Siggins as well. Really clever stuff inside 50. No one could tip the footy. Tucked in, Lonigan. Dragged down by Chambers. Castle's in there as well. Trying to get the footy out, going nowhere. You know the consequences this afternoon. It's do or die. So a big quarter and a half coming up here from Blunston Arena. Siggins. Hines again. Oh, beautiful stuff. Gets the handball away. And now Blackberry again, the goal kicker from a few moments ago. Puts it up over the top. Boyce spins around and Boyce kicks the goal! Launceston are flying at Blunston Arena.
Terrific goal, and that's his second for the game, Joe Boyce. What a play. He's been premiership player at Launceston. He spent some time in lower ranks of footy in this state and has come back to TSL footy, and he's come back with a bang, particularly in this final series. He's been terrific player for them. Just another one of those players we've mentioned, Damo, that plays their role each and every week for Launceston. He'd be delighted with this Sam Lonigan. They're not a team of superstars, but what they are is very even, and I guess in terms of the balance of their contribution throughout a game of footy is always pretty good. Different players bob up at different stages, as did Joe Boyce on that occasion.
So it's out to 20 points. Blackberry starting to have an influence. The tumbling ball towards 50. Bailey cuts it off, but it falls for Hines. He gathers. He's got Boyce on short. The ball's blocked. It falls for Rundle. Rundle hands off on the boot of Gillo. Wrong side of the post.
Ooh. He's a goal kicker, Gillo. He would have loved to have got that. Clarence are on the ropes. Launceston murdering them at the moment in the centre bounce clearances. They've won the last 4.
Wiley out looking for Siggins. Gets in front and takes the grab. That's what we like to see from Sammy Siggins. Looks down the wing. High kick. Looking in the direction of Bushner. Over the back was Savage. Nice fist coming from Vanderbilt.
Well, they've swung Bushner forward. We call for that one as well, Damo. So at least they are trying something, the Roos. A different look about them in this third quarter in terms of what they're trying to do for the latter part, certainly in that forward half.
So Clarence with Jeremy Webley under duress. Jake Cox off the field and Launceston well in control, a 21-point lead. It's in the clinches here. Aganis under it. He's wrapped up by Gleeson with another ball up.
Well, big few minutes coming up for Clarence here as we approach time on third quarter. The premiership quarter, of course, as O'Donoghue and Siggins go at it. Hines in there again. Taylor. Smith gets the footy, gets the foot onto it. Didn't go where he wanted it to. Castle, high ball out in the full.
Real lack of poise, and that's the pressure, isn't it?
Yep.
21-point ball game. The Roos, they kicked 3 in the first quarter, so nearly over probably almost an hour of footy now. They've only kicked the 2 goals since the initial 3 inside 20 minutes in the first quarter.
Paul Freeman puts it inside 50. Couldn't be held on to. Ball can't get out of this little pack it's in at the moment. Clarence trying to get boot to ball.
Pressure.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Oh, look at this. The Blues are away then. And free kick.
Boyce.
Free kick going to Boyce.
It might have been against Michael Fisher, is it, for the tackle?
Well,
I think he caught one high as he went to get that handball out.
Goodness me.
Desperate stuff from Joey Boyce.
This to make it 27 points. It's just turned big time, hasn't it, this game?
Well, we saw them do something similar last week. They came out in the third quarter. Launceston were terrific, particularly in the last 10 minutes of the second quarter against Glenorchy, and it was all them after half-time.
Joey Boyce for goal number 3, not on this occasion, off to the left for a minor score. 22-point margin as we are about to go into time on in this third quarter.
A lot of work to do. Wiley, a piercing ball onto the chest of Gleeson. So players like Gleeson, they want to get on top around the ball because Lonnie have had it all their own way in this quarter. He finds Bushner. Bushner swings around, a long high ball, looking for Walt, paddles down, Jones, picks it up, hands off for Silver. Then to Fisher, he's keen to get running on a burst. Fisher, kick looking for Standen, over the back is Siggins, doesn't arrive. Standen, soccer, wrong way. O'Donoghue tries to pick it up. Siggins in, paddling it. Picking up was Castle, met with a crunching tackle. Ball up.
I thought it might have been a free kick.
That was
there,
one
boys.
of Clarence's best build-up for a long time in terms of the way they moved the ball from the defensive 50 into the forward 50. Again, though, Sam Siggins was caught from behind.
Siggins down, but it's to the advantage of the Blues. Palfreyman gets it to Gillow, and then Kelly Mansell slaps it on the boot, but it's all Clarence. And it's Bailey. Keen to hand it out to Gleeson. Gleeson assesses the options, looks for Weberly, across with Smith, coming through is none. Wiley gets a kick out. Bailey under all sorts of pressure. There for Chambers. Across came Leadham. That's a free kick.
Yeah, a bit silly on that occasion from Leadham.
I've got to laugh. Young Holmes came in just to put a bit of pressure on Leadham, and then I think he looked at him and he was like, oh. Very humorous.
Yeah, he's got to be really careful here, Michael Blackburn, and so now Weberly, because Launceston got all the numbers behind the footy.
Weberly kicks it to those numbers, and Dunellen will get a free kick. So you called it there beautifully there, Brownie. The way they're just cutting off, getting the numbers across is working well, Launceston. So Dunellen to Tyrrell. to Hines. He'll work it out of defence. He goes onto the wing. Superb use by a foot.
Brilliant kick.
He finds Shepherd. Shepherd got a couple to look at. Finds Whiting, a long way from home. Whiting looking for Blackberry, getting into the game, and he takes the mark, I thought. No, says the umpire. Throw it in.
22 points the deficit as we approach three-quarter time. All the work ahead of the Roos, staring down the barrel of a straight sets exit from the TSL Final Series of 2017. Here's Launceston again. Blackberry get the handball away to Hines. Hines wrapped up. He did well to get the footy away as well. And Clarence, Damian Gill calling for holding the ball. Not on this occasion. Ball up.
They just haven't been able to find a dominant forward over the last week and a half, have they, Clarence, where they can really expose a matchup?
So lead them backwards. O'Brien had the footy and now picked out by Shepherd. It's a high ball. Taking ages to come back down. It does eventually.
Great
a good mark taken by Gleeson.
He's had a very good game for Mine Gleeson, one player that has worked really hard for the Roos.
Gleeson switches play to the broadcast side of the ground. Brenner. He goes forward. Stannon's there. So is Williams. Beats both of them over the top of their heads. Speedy's in there again, the little man. And Chambers calls for holding the ball, and it is. So the Roos will get the free kick. Gabby Chambers will take it.
Well, they've got to go now, Clarence. Not long left in this quarter.
Spots up O'Brien. O'Brien has Webberley on. Chooses him, but it might be not getting Vanderveld's there. And push. So Vanderveld will get the kick. He gets it backwards to Whiting.
Again, it's just their ability to intercept, get a hand on, read the inside 50 entry from their opposition has been so very good today for Launceston.
Vanderveld goes really wide, finds Tyrrell in the back pocket. He comes back inboards to Whiting, who's a long way from home at the moment. And he comes in, dangerous kick. Buchner beat him. But now Clarence with a chance again. Holmes gets boot to ball. Fisher's there as well. Been brilliant today, Michael Fisher. Buchner couldn't get it. Callanan tried to get a big tackle. But again, the Blues have all the answers. Blackberry, the classy J Blackberry, tries to find Paul from him, but punched out of bounds by Gabby Chambers.
Still very much on Launceston's terms. And tactically, I think they've had the better of the Roos through the first three quarters of this game. Big couple of minutes coming up, Clarence. They just need to kick a couple before going into three-quarter time to give them some belief going into the last quarter.
And it comes again, Wall and Leadham. Clarence have one last opportunity here to get a goal. They need one desperately. Gleeson, he torps it inside 50. Beats everyone, but Callanan's there. What can he do, the little master? He goes from the boundary. No! No, not this time, but gee, that would have given him a pulse.
Showed some great experience there, Callanan, just to keep his balance.
Shepherd now out of defence for Launceston. Long down the wing is Lonigan. Does well, just outworks his opponent. Now he's away. Gets it on the boot. A vacant 50 for the Blues. Running towards the ball is none. First to it is Bailey, out of play.
Difficult to mount a case for the Roos, isn't it?
Very tricky.
Still a fair bit of footy to be played. But when you look up at the scoreboard, just the 5 goals kicked deep into time on in the third quarter.
Player down as well, Brownie. Don't forget Jake Cox off for the rest of the game.
Yeah, big player is Paul Freeman. Slaps it on the boot. None under it. Can't take the mark. It's Bailey handing it out to Webberley. On the boot, comes to Brendan Taylor. He manages a shot, he manufactures something, is bouncing. On the boot is Kelly Mansell. He loves trying the difficult. That was even too difficult for him, out on the full. So, Launceston well in control this game on their terms, as you said, Brownie, and Clarence look a bit lost for ideas as it comes out of defence. Brady Jones. A team that's scored quite freely this season is struggling to score, and struggled to score last week. Comes down the line, Donnellan just gathers. Inside to Shepherd. He's been good too. Just does his job, as you said all afternoon, Brownie, just full of role players. Shepherd on the boot. Donahue under it. Oh, almost takes a grab. At the fall was none. Can't pick it up. Handing out was Gleeson. It's been their best this quarter. Silver now to Chambers, and then Douglas. Interesting kick, but Bushner almost reins it in. Aganis hot on him. Aganis picks it up, and then dives, swan dives over, and they're into him.
You need to go up with the 2 hands in, Bushner.
Chambers not happy with Blackberry. He gives a little back. He's thrown in.
The umpire's gone now,
Umpire's slipped over.
It's a great recovery, though.
Siggins down. Picking up his Taylor. He had it behind him. Didn't know how to deal with it. Gets a kick, though.
Bit stiff. I thought this tackle was okay then from Silver.
I'm with you, Brownie. But everything seems to be rolling the way of the Blues at the moment. They're in control of this game. 27 minutes gone in the third quarter. 21-point advantage.
Oh, get out of here!
From the clouds was Bailey. They may not win this afternoon, but that's a highlight for the Roos. Webberley, oh, nice turn, nice spin. Maybe that mark can just ignite something for the Roos. A free kick for Fisher, and the siren sounds. Bailey came down from the heavens and took a beautiful clunk. But that is three-quarter time here at Blunston Arena. Launceston, they were underdogs. They're on top. 21-point lead over the highly favoured Clarence Roos. Well, it may just be the biggest ball over yet, boys.
Extraordinary. Launceston, full credit to them. Finished where they did on the ladder and came down last week, knocked off the defending champions, and have come here this afternoon and are really taking it up to a team that plays here week in, week out, Brandy. They've been fantastic.
They have, and look, we've kept on saying it right throughout the call. They've just been a very disciplined team. They don't try to overuse the footy. Blokes fully understand what their role is in the team for the Launceston Footy Club. They don't overstate their ability or what their capabilities are. They just do what is required, and in particular the back half have been so impressed with them. And I agree with you, Damo, perhaps coming in to the finals that might have been a bit of a question mark, but you know, all those boys. Tyrrell's been pretty solid again. I've been impressed with Vanderveld, who's obviously been able to intercept Mark, just get in and get a spoil. I think Williams' job on calendar has been pretty undersold right throughout this game, so love the way they've gone about it. And in the end, they just started to get the game on their terms, as we said, halfway through the second quarter, and that was a bit of a continuation for mine in the third quarter. It was just a 3-goal-1 on that occasion. Launceston, 2 goals to Sammy Lonigan, 2 to Nathan O'Donoghue, 2 to Joey Boyce, and 1 each to Sonny Whiting, Jay Blackberry and Jake Nunn. And for the Roos, 5 single goal kickers. Ian Callanan with 1, Jared Harper, Jeremy Webberley, Trent Stanton and Alex Silver. That's
the other interesting point, Brandy. Sonny Whiting, 1 goal. We saw him dominate last week for Launceston, but they're in the lead without him having a big impact on the game.
And credit to him too. He's won a bit of the footy too, up on the ground, up on the logos, around the wing and through the midfield stoppages and the like. So they'd be really pleased, as you said, that they don't have to rely on him, because that might have been another question mark about Launceston coming into the finals. But they've just timed their run beautifully. I find it really difficult to mount a case for the Roos in this one. One of their star players is obviously off, and Jake Coxon is not going to play any further part in this game, and he's been sorely missed, hasn't he, for the last almost 2 full quarters of this contest. So Clarence, I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. In fairness to them, Siggins did spend some time forward. We called for that. We also called for Bushner. So they've tried some of the things that we thought maybe give them an opportunity to get an advantage on their Launceston opponents. But at the moment, you just can't see. They're just not winning enough of the footy. When we've watched some boys on the stream, it's been some of that slingshot where they can win it off half back with fast hands, and then it's often one breakout kick, and you see a Stanton or you see a Callanan, or we might even see a Siggins just running into space inside that forward 50, but they've hardly been able to do that at all on any of their inside 50 entries today.
Yeah, I can't recall one even over the back where they've scored goals for fun all season. They haven't been able to today. They don't look like the most confident bunch as we sit here in the third quarter time huddles. Launceston, however, are full of confidence, and I think they might just get a roll on here and really make this a massive win. And tell you what, good luck to whoever plays them in a prelim.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Look, a great day for the club, isn't it? Because if they can go on and win this game in the last 30 minutes, because they won the Mercury Cup earlier on today. And look, without getting too far ahead, there's a bit of footy to be played in this one. But if they do win this game, they'll you know, they'll go in really confident next week and know that their best footy is good enough to beat anyone. Whether that's Lauderdale back down here on a familiar ground that they've won on the last 2 weeks, or if they go back to Launceston and play in their own region, they'll be pretty confident.
They will indeed. We'll have a brief break now and be back for the conclusion of this game. Do the Roos have anything left in them? Stay with us and find out. So back for the final term, Clarence with it all to do. They trail by 21 points over the finals sleeping giant, as they're proving to be, Launceston. What do you reckon, boys? Launceston, too good here, or Clarence, do they have anything left in them?
Oh, I just can't. I'd love to see the Roos mount a serious challenge in the last quarter here, but you know, just for the game's sake, and you know, I feel for them a little bit with Jake Cox going out of the team, and potentially they might have just lost a bit of fitness and form at the wrong time of the season. But I find it really difficult to mount a case. I mentioned earlier they just had 3 goals kicked in the second half against Lauderdale. Only 5 goals in the first 3 quarters here, so they're going to have to double their score if they're going to win this game.
Underway we go. Final term, do or die. Do not go anywhere as Blackberry pumps it out of the middle inside 50. O'Donoghue couldn't hang on to the footy. And they pick it up still though. Here's Nunn, throws it onto the boot. It's a high floating ball, top of the square, punch through, minus score. So not the start Clarence are after. They need to get it down their end and down their end very, very fast and try and score this first goal of the final term. Here's Brady Jones, pumps it long, really long, looking for his coach Webley, but Jay Blackberry, what a star. Waste no time getting it back inside. O'Donoghue again, can't take the mark and out of bounds. So really providing a target there at the moment, Nathan O'Donoghue.
Sam Siggins starting on the bench for Clarence in this last quarter.
Interesting. So the margin still 22 points. All the work ahead of the Roos. We know the consequences. It's season over if they lose. Oh, look at this. Rella Kelly Mansell. And far to the right and out of bounds on the full.
It's amazing to think, Brownie, this team, Launceston, we're seeing them take care of Clarence here. We saw them down Glenorchy last week. They only made the finals on percentage.
Yeah, that's a great point. You almost forget about that, don't you? And just in front of Hobart City, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and they lost to Hobart City twice in the season. Very nearly lost to Tigers towards the end of the year. That would have cost them finals.
Doesn't matter. This is where you've got to do your best work, and they're doing
this
it
bloke
now.
has been terrific.
Yep, he certainly has, Williams. So what can he do here?
Very underrated player, like a lot of these players in this team.
Inside, anyone home? There is, but it's the wrong person. It's Tim Castle for the Roos.
I think they've still got a bit of upside too. Rundle has been injured. This is his first game back. Obviously had a couple of weeks out with injury. I think Kelly Mansell's been down throughout this finals campaign, and obviously he's had a terrific season.
Oh,
but I
good
think
mark.
they know that they've certainly got some players, potentially next week if they get through, that have got some big upside yet.
Leadham pumps it in, and it's just all Clarence though. Bailey does well. Oh, play on. O'Donoghue wraps him up, and ball up.
You know what, boys? I think once again it's been really well umpired. Full credit to Michael Brown and the powers that be there.
Any relation, Cam?
No.
Up it goes,
relation,
O'Donoghue out of the ruck, slapping on the boot is Boyce, wrong side of the post.
He'll be listening, Uncle Mike, at some stage. Back to the replay.
He'll be happy with the
But,
pump up. He'll be
No
happy
relation to Dad's brother.
So, getting really desperate now for the Roos. That is
over the
ordinary. Over the line, and it wasn't much of a kick either, so rather Kelly Mansell into Brady Jones, letting him know about it.
Dear oh dear.
So, that does not help. They need everything to go right for them pretty much from here. The Roos, a goal would just about put this one to bed. Up they go, O'Donoghue just jostles for position. Taylor underneath a sea of players, and it'll be another ball up.
Sun-drenched now out there, lads.
Yeah, pretty classic Hobart weather. As O'Donoghue out of the ruck on the boot. Goal! Launceston! They're on their way to a prelim final.
Well, when you think about the ruck duels and Leadham, who spent some time in the ruck, and then O'Donoghue, who's probably spends around about 20% game time in the ruck, but compare that to Wade Wall and Sam Siggins. Sam Siggins on the bench at the moment has just really struggled to get going throughout this finals campaign. But when you've got a player like O'Donoghue who's stood forward and stood tall and kicked 3 goals, and also Leadham's been dominant in the ruck, gee, they'd be delighted tactically how that one's worked out.
16 shots to 12. It's Launceston
Done it again, Leadham.
leading, and good mark back with a flight. So the Roos won't give up yet, but they've got lots of work to do. Wiley now pumps it forward, hits up Castle. 29-point margin. So Launceston very, very close to saying they're in a prelim final. Gleeson need to move it fast. Almost 5 minutes gone. Final turn. And Gleeson now goes forward, goes the short option and finds Harper. Jared Harper kicked a goal earlier on this afternoon. He goes to the paint of 50. Good mark, Wade Wall. He knows time is not on his side. He goes back quickly, loads up from 50. Top of the square and punched through by Williams. Minor score.
Standen was on his own there. He was the only one flying for the ball for the Roos, and he was surrounded by 3 or 4 Blues. It's been pretty much the story of the afternoon.
Sonny Whiting doing the kicking out duties here for the Blues, so all sorts of stuff going on at the moment. Ball stays inside. Now picked up beautifully by Callanan. Over the top, and now here's Gleeson. Oh, collected by Agarnis.
That was crude.
It was. But
Came in like a freight train.
He's got up okay though, Gleeson.
He did bounce back. He's a tough player.
He's a tough customer.
Well, he's one could hold his head up high, I would have thought, today.
From the McKillop Football Factory.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot from there. I'm not sure who's in charge of that footy program.
Someone very, very good, it seems. So Jack Gleeson will kick from 35 metres out. Looks okay off the boot, but it's not. It's off to the left and still alive. Savage keeps it in for Launceston. Bouncing ball. Castle just goes past him. Williams comes in, does beautifully. Bumps Castle away from the footy. Chambers dives onto it Umpire's blown the whistle.
I think I'm right in saying, Damo, we can welcome our City Park listeners who I think are tuning in. They've got a big afternoon of footy too, with Dave Moore and Mac and McGee calling a big one up there in about half an hour's time between Lauderdale and North Launceston.
Finals feast.
Absolutely. Chambers pumps it in for Clarence inside 50. Agarnis couldn't hang on to it. Here's Tyrrell and Callanan going head to head. Callanan keeps it in beautifully. Standon's there. Standon's got time. Handball's over the top to his coach, Jeremy Weberly, and pops it through for a goal. Clarence stay in touch, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, you wonder if it's too little, too late for the Roos, but it does cut the margin to 22 points, and there is plenty of time if they're good enough. But they just really need, I guess, to get a repeat goal, a repeat inside 50 entry here. And hopefully for their sake make Launceston a little bit wobbly. But they've answered everything today throughout this game. But that certainly gives them a little bit of hope. Some smart play by Stanton, Weberly in the right place at the right time. A badly needed goal for the Clarence Footy Club boys.
What's the Lee Matthews theory? More goals than minutes?
Yeah, something
more
like
minutes
that.
than goals or whatever. Yeah, over the top. Hines on the boot, left boot, flying inside 50. Gathering was Castle. He'll bring it out of the Clarence defence.
Been pretty solid, Jake Hines, but nowhere near as dominant as last week.
So Harper, ball in hand, looks long down the line. Weberly over the back, takes a good mark, and he's off now, Weberly. We know he's hindered by injury. Gets it on the boot, into the pockets, finds Standon.
There's a pulse.
There is a pulse. How's it beating? Inside, Callanan. I might have called it too soon, fellas. Ian Callanan, the line up.
Well, Weberly was able to hit the ground running. It was still a great defensive chase from Hamish Leadham, who didn't give up. But found a little bit of space, didn't he, Trent Stanton, and then was able to look up and see Ian Callanan. You wouldn't think he'd miss from here, boys.
Ian Callanan, a classy player for many, many years. Off the right. It doesn't look great. It's fading and fading horribly. Just through for a behind.
Needed that, didn't they? Needed that desperately.
They did. That would have cut the margin to 16 points.
Which is gettable, has to be said. Hines, very casual out from full back. And a beautiful ball for Blackberry.
They're out here, although it's a slow kick coming forward.
Slow, high kick. Boyce doing well to battle away. Wraps it up. And it will be holding the ball, so
they'd like the match up here, Damo. Young Brenner's got the job on Whiting. I think Launceston might try and isolate him if they can.
So it was Ling under all that. Boyce goes off for Williams. A little kick for Nunn on the edge of 50. And he goes back and he looks like he might shape for a shot here.
I reckon the coach would love this man, the way he goes about his footy, Jake Nunn.
Yeah, he just has a dip, doesn't he? Just really throws his weight around and flies for the ball. So he fancies himself from just on 50. Gillo out from the square. Clever work. I don't know if it was a set play, but it was exquisite. Beautiful work. Gillo just burst from the square, got serious metres on his opponent, Brenner. Took the mark and he'll line up.
It was a great kick, wasn't it, really? And as you mentioned, Damo, and you know, you thought the way it was working out that Nunn would just sit it up the top of the square and maybe O'Donoghue might be the target, but no, lowered his eyes. Gillo on the lead, just got some separation from Brenner, and the boy from St Pat's has an opportunity for a goal.
He does. He's unsure off the boot, but has no reason to be. Through the middle. So that probably spells an end to the Clarence Revival. Launceston with their 11th goal for the afternoon.
Well, it's been their second halves, hasn't it, over the last couple of weeks? I think they kicked 10 goals against Glenorchy last week and have been pretty solid again today with 5 in the second half, and still a fair bit of footy to be played on this in this game, but just a body blow there for the Roos. Just when you thought they were getting back into it, it makes the miss of Callanan now even more critical.
Here we go again. Bailey into the ruck for Clarence. Blackberry gets it away and now gets his own footy back inside 50. It's a wobbly old kick, bouncing. Taylor's there, but Monaghan gets the handball out. Castle, and now Wiley, but it's really dangerous times. Here he is. What a goal. Rubber Kelly Mansell seals the deal for Launceston. They're through to next week's preliminary final against either North Launceston or Lauderdale.
Well, he's had a pretty quiet day by his standards, but you're not going to keep a player like that out for the whole duration of footy game. He just bobbed up with an opportunist goal.
Really nice celebration too, but I don't know who he was celebrating to. There was no one down here to see it.
Might be a Clarence fan, you don't know.
Well, he's become a very versatile player. We're used to him going back in his early footy development, playing with South Launceston under Mitch Thorpe in that premiership team in the back half. Another one of those boys from St Pat's as well that's now running around with the Launceston.
Bailey out of the ruck just takes it and throws it on the boot. Presenting was Blackburn. He can't gather. Callanan gets it. He loses it as Rundle's hot on his heels. Falls for Holmes, he's dealt with. Slapping on the boot was Wade Wall. Not happy about the treatment afterwards. Brenner rushes to the ball, but runs out of territory. Out it goes.
If I told you boys at the start of the 10-minute mark into the last quarter that Jason Bailey would be in the ruck and Sam Siggins would be at full back, you would have had some concerns, I would have thought.
Yes.
It's interesting with the game on the line. Slap down from Bailey, crunches someone in a tackle. I couldn't see quite who it was. Harper off the deck, almost creates something. It was a high ball inside 50. It will be gathered now through Tyrrell. Farms it out. Finds Shepherd, slapping on the boot. Castle first to it. He sees it over the boundary.
Have lost a bit of run, the Roos. And Jordan Roberts was omitted from that team last week. He's had a horrific run with injury. Kyle Palmer-Hughes also omitted a couple of weeks ago, unable to force his way back into the team. But they're two players that can give you a bit of run and carry, but unfortunately weren't considered in Clarence's best 22 for this game.
Bailey straight out of the ruck again. He's worked himself nicely into those last couple of ruck contests. Blues come out with it though. Vandervelde with hands over to Rundle on the far wing. He slaps it on the boot. High looking for O'Donoghue. Gets a hand to it. Falls for Blackberry. Working in traffic. Gets a hand out to Taylor.
Handball.
Taylor over the top to Kelly Mansell. Running hard up against the left boundary. He goes long looking for Whiting. Good work by Wiley. Sees it through.
Still a very disciplined kick, wasn't it? He had the opportunity to maybe have a shot for goal. But no, did the team discipline thing, hit the top of the square to give his opponent his teammate Sonny Whiting a chance.
So just about last chance saloon here for the Roos. They've just got to get going. Walt down the line.
Here he goes.
Finds Silver on a
Silver.
burst. Long, looking for Stanton and Fisher. Fisher's claimed it.
He'll go back and kick the goal.
He should go back and kick the goal. He opts to wheel round. Off the right boot. Does it have the journey? It does, but it's offline.
So the margin, 31 points at the moment.
So our Launceston listeners with City Park Radio on the stream would be wrapped with this, Brownie.
And it comes again. It's a higher ball, but the umpire's blown the whistle, and looks like it's coming back, and it'll be a ball up.
You're right, the Launceston listeners. I mean, next week, if North Launceston do win that game, they'll be down here next Saturday listening to the live stream, the Launceston supporters. But if North Launceston obviously do get beaten today, they get the opportunity to see a derby in a final next week. So
Be huge, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no matter what happens, it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks of TSL finals footy for the prelim and the grand final. We're right in front of goal here for Clarence. Blues do well, get it out of danger. Almost. Lonigan gets the handball away to Williams.
Oh.
They're right under the pump here. Standon's there for Clarence. Can't get the ball out. Umpire blows the whistle eventually.
I mean, just on Clarence, it's obviously not going to work out for them in the finals in 2017, but full credit to them, the way they've gone about it this season.
33 points the margin. I think I might have said 31 a few moments ago. So 33 points is the buffer.
Finished 7th or 8th last year, Clarence. So when you put it in that perspective, Brownie, they've made significant strides this year, but it is a bit of pill to swallow going out straight sets.
That's what Jeremy Webberley's message was during the week. But Gillo now, and the Blues come out of defence. O'Donoghue and Bailey go one-on-one, and O'Donoghue wins out. Handball wasn't the best. Gillo's there, but out of bounds. Right in the pocket for Clarence. as we approach time on final term.
They've unveiled a couple, haven't they? Obviously, James Holmes was the rising star during the week. Keegan Wiley's had a terrific season for them.
Leadham punches, still with Launceston. Shepherd gets it out. Dunellen. And now Blackberry. And good mark taken again by Gillo.
He's a smart player, this boy, Gillo.
Yeah, he can play all right. He centres the footy. He's got a
Wow,
man
what a
on
kick.
his own. It's Savage. So Savage pops it to the paint of 50. Kelly Mansell's on the lead, gets the mark on his chest, plays on really quickly. He's got a target too, and the mark's taken, and taken by, I think it's Sammy Rundle.
Look, it gets better for Launceston for mine, because I reckon the last 10 or 15 minutes from Kelly Mansell's been really important. Probably, you know, the best 10 or 15 minutes he's played on balance over the last 2 games of footy that we've seen him play. So he's running into a bit of form nicely for what we think is going to be a preliminary final next week for the Launceston Footy Club. Sam Rundle right on his distance, I reckon.
Missed last week, Sam Rundle back in the team this afternoon. He'll kick right on 50. The kick looks all right too. He split the middle and goes bang! And just some icing on the cake for Launceston. Their lead's a big one now.
Oh, look, he's an underrated player, and we know it's great for him that he's able to get back into the team at the expense of Jordan Harris, and missed, I think, the last roster game, wasn't able to get up for the first final, but he's one of those players who can play, you know, 50% midfield, then roll forward. He played a lot of his junior footy as a leading forward. Always had very, very good hands, even in his time at the Devonport Footy Club. But again, a great finish for him.
So straight down from Siggins, back in the ruck. It's taken from Lonigan though. He swings around. Boyce makes something of it. Gillo farms out a handball. He might track down his own work. No, it's Boyce. Hands off for Palfreyman. Usually good by hand. Finds Taylor. Has a look at goal. Taylor, long high ball. Bushner. Oh, he doesn't take the mark, and it goes through for a behind.
That's very polarised, Zach Bushner. Just had to take that mark.
So Jeremy Webley, the coach, to bring it back in. He's had a indifferent season, Jeremy Webley, in terms of he hasn't been able to get himself fit. When he has, he's looked really good, but he's been battling injury the whole year. When you put it into perspective, Clarence have battled quite a few injuries through the stretch.
Yeah, they have.
Well, you do need a little bit of luck going into finals, and we saw Glenorchy were cruelled by that. They just, throughout the whole season, just couldn't get their best 22 and any continuity with consecutive games with player personnel, and it probably hurt them in the end. So you do need a little bit of luck going to the finals with a health and fit list.
Gleeson, terrific with a spinning handball, finds O'Brien, kicking for Wade Wall. Wall does well to work Vanderveld out of it, but doesn't take the grab. Savage has his ball block. Second crack works out okay. Lonigan takes the grab right in the bullseye. Centre of Blunston Arena.
Been pretty solid too, the coach.
The role he's playing works really well for Launceston, I think, as he kicks this one long inside 50. Hines eyes it off.
Good mark.
Coming across, taking the grab was the best full back of the season, Bailey. His kick for Silver's good. On the broadcast wing. Just near the Ponting stand. Nudging inside for O'Brien. Gathering was Taylor. Finds his coach. A good kick looking for Kelly Mansell, but again, Bailey too good.
The only thing from a Launceston perspective, boys, they'd like to improve their starts. The last two games that we've seen them in this final series, they've got off to fairly slow starts, but having said that, they haven't panicked and worked their way back into the game beautifully on both occasions.
Weberly pushes it forward for Clarence. Jones takes the mark. Brady Jones in the helmet. He goes inside 50 now. Wade Wall's the target. Couldn't take the mark. Ball still with the Roos though. Can they get one over the top? They can. And they've kicked the goal through Wade Wall. But it's all too little, too late. We've hit time on final term, and it's still a big lead to Clarence. 34 points.
Clarence.
Oh, sorry, to Launceston.
Yeah, it is. And look, both their
Goodness
goals, haven't they, have been scored this last quarter with handballs over the top, as is often the way in modern footy. But unfortunately for the Roos, too little, too late, 34-point margin. To Launceston, who can probably ice a few players now for the last 5 or 6 minutes, get them off the ground and try and protect them for next week.
It's going to be a big one, whoever they're up against. On hands and knees is Gleeson. He finds Bailey. Scurries a kick out, looking for Harper. Beaten to it by Tyrrell. Racing onto it is Blackberry. Hands it to Smith, centre wing, out near the hill. Looking for Kelly Mansell, not his best kick. Castle tracks it down, but then runs over it. Coming across is Kelly Mansell, wraps him up, all up.
Very disciplined team, aren't they, Launceston, the way they go about it? They don't seem to give away too many
the irony,
free kicks.
as Clarence give away a free kick and give it to Launceston, I thought for a second Launceston had given away a free kick.
It's almost my own blooper tape there, but it's Kelly Mansell again, isn't it? He's had a good last quarter.
It is indeed. He kicks it inside 50. Sharking it was Hines, slaps it on the boot. Sonny Whiting sniffing around and takes the mark in the pocket, uncontested.
Well, you mentioned Breno, we're so used to this man, and if you'd have said Launceston were going to win today and they'd have 13 goals at the 22-minute mark of the last quarter, you'd think this guy would probably have 4 or 5.
Yep.
Just had the 1 goal, but he's played his role today, and they'll get confidence almost from the fact that they haven't relied on him and won a final so very well today.
So marching on in, Sonny Whiting, offline, pushes it well wide,
Big
out
time.
on the
Tried
full.
to blast it almost, didn't he?
Well, we're approaching the end of this one, and Launceston are on their way to a preliminary final berth from 5th spot on the TSL ladder. They've disposed of Glenorchy, they're about to dispose of Clarence, and they are the real deal. Don't worry about that. In it comes Gleeson.
It's been their best today, I reckon.
He has been
He
good.
missed a lot of footy, hasn't he? And that'll be one thing that'll get some confidence out, hopefully going into next season.
Kick was okay to Brenner. He plays on though and is in trouble. Got the handball away, Bushner. He goes long and Mark couldn't be taken. O'Brien's there to collect. He pushes it forward. And now Rundle. But picked up now by Williams. Puts it on the boot and just bounces before the line for a boundary throw-in.
Probably the depth of the Clarence Footy Club has been shown up a little bit, I would have thought, throughout this final series, Damo. We just know how very good their top half a dozen players are. But when they're not at their absolute best, as Siggins hasn't been throughout this final series, and things like Webberley and Cox are injured, it just exposes them a little bit for mine.
So Rundle dragged down by Fisher. And we'll have another ball up.
It's a good point you make, Brownie, and when they were really in a purple patch, that middle tier stepped up.
They did.
I think they fell away towards the back end of the year and haven't been able to pick it up again in finals.
So Chambers couldn't control the footy at all.
Oh, look at power from him.
Just letting him know what happened. I think he knows. So we'll have another ball in just in front of us here on the commentary wing at Launceston Arena. Ponting stands side of the ground, in it comes. Bailey was dealt with by Leadham, Blackberry, and now, big work there by Holmes. Really threw himself at the footy, gets it back too. Umpire's blowing the whistle for a throw. And now Gillo will take the kick for Launceston. Can they ice the cake here with another goal before full time? They switch play, other side of the ground. Hines takes the mark in the centre square, right in the middle of Launceston Arena. Sun bathing down all over this beautiful ground. Hines, he kicks, looking for a Garnis, went straight through him and out of bounds on the far side of the ground. So the margin's 34 points, can't be long left before Launceston can officially say they're through to a preliminary final berth in the 2017 TSL season. And Clarence, well, it's all over for them for another year. But gee, what a year it's been. They've risen back up the ladder. They'll be disappointed to exit in straight sets, but they can look at some positives. We said earlier, they've found some beauties as it goes forward again. But Savage takes a mark for Launceston.
Played a really good game too.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good early when they were a little bit under siege with Clarence having a lot of the ball in their forward half in that first quarter.
Hines has the footy and will take his time going back. Not a lot on offer. Gillo's there, but decides not to use him. He goes further afield. Siggins is at the back, couldn't take the mark. Clarence, the ball smothered as they kick it, and a mark take. Oh, they've got away with this, the Blues, but out of danger for Clarence. They take the mark. Shot on goal did not happen, and Gleeson now out of defence for Clarence.
He finds Silver. Silver on the boot, looking long. Standon's got a paddock now. He'll run on in. Uses Wall. Wall crosses the paint of 50. He'll kick towards the big sticks. Bounces short and wide. Out for a boundary throwing.
He had Ian Callan, who
he's not
a little
happy.
bit disappointed with the kick there, but that was the style of play that we've seen Clarence use so often in terms of their ball movement and their transition from the back half. But it's just been shut down in the final series, so maybe their opposition have gone to work a little bit on them. Gee, there can't be a lot of time left in this one, boys.
Not long left. The siren will send the travelling fans into raptures as it's thrown on in. Palmed down by Leadham. He's been terrific. A good tackle from Aganis. Out it comes off the boot of Shepherd. Nunn coming to try and take a grab. Punching was Fisher. Leadham with hands out. Palfreyman tries to don't argue. Misses his target. Callanan now. Gleeson makes something of it. Does all right in traffic. But his handball is to Chambers, who's going nowhere. So another ball up inside attacking 50 for the Roos. 27 and change gone. A big win for Launceston, no question about it. Big pointed fist down from Leadham, slapped on the boot by Palfreyman. Onto centre wing, broadcast side. Ooh. Gleeson made to earn it. Gillo coming in late, he's hurt himself. Gleeson inside 50, over the back. Wade Wall almost takes a grab, in fact he has. He'll line up for a consolation prize.
I think he's okay, James Gill. Might have just corked himself a little bit there, I think. Maybe a lower leg.
It was a good mark from Wade Walt. Probably underselling it because the Sting's well and truly out of the game. So he'll line up. The margin well beyond Clarence. Time just about up. So Wade Walt. Just a consolation prize, this one. The siren sounds. Launceston pump their fists. So Wade Wall will line up after the siren. He marches on in. The second ruck for Clarence. Into the left upright and perhaps encapsulates Clarence's final series in one kick. They're out of the final series, the Roos. Launceston, massive upset victors here at Blunston Arena. They roll on into a preliminary final. What a boil over.
It is, well, is it? They were fantastic last week, Launceston. They ended Glenorchy's season, we saw that. They've come down here full of confidence and they've got the job done, Brownie. It's a magnificent win, and if they thought that was one of the best wins in their recent history last week, what's this? This is unbelievable.
33-point winners, and gee, weren't they terrific? Pretty much since quarter time, they outscored the Roos, 12 goals to 4 in the end. But this no-fuss, business-like footy club, I love the way they go about it. Not necessarily with a bunch of stars and names that, it'll be interesting to see almost in the Team of the Year, Damo, to see how many that they have named in that Launceston. But gee, they've got a lot of great players who are very disciplined the way they go about it and play important roles for their footy club, and we've seen that over the last 2 weeks. Disappointing end for Clarence Footy Club, no hiding away from that, and unfortunately they just haven't been able to bring their best when it counted in the finals, and they're probably playing their best footy around July for mine and look dangerous. But since then, injuries, form and the like have dropped off, and they've left it to too few. But Launceston, gee, full credit to them, and I've loved the way they've gone about it, and they'll go in with real confidence. If they're back down here next week, well then that's a team that that's a ground that they've felt really comfortable with in the last fortnight by winning both finals games. If they obviously North Launceston lose today, well then they get essentially a home final in their region. So you know they can't really lose, and they'll go in with all sorts of confidence. And what I like about them is they're really composed. We've been a bit worried about them, Damo, in both games when they got off to slow starts, and you thought, gee, it's not happening, but they don't panic. They stick to their structures and they just work their way back into the game. Their back line is very disciplined. They're set up well behind the football. Their midfield works their way into contests, and they've got different role players up forward as well.
Clarence boys just going down to their members' end and giving a round of applause. So it has been a good year, hasn't it? I mean, they've fought back pretty well. We had them up in the top 3 though, Damon. We did our pre-season predictions. We thought it might be a good year for them with the
Clarence.
some of the inclusions they had.
Yeah, and look, Aiden Grace was obviously a late omission today for them, and so that may have helped them a little bit moving forward. I thought probably they missed a bit of run. Jordan Roberts has been cruelled by injury, so Palmer Hughes was, lost a bit of form, but I think Keegan Wiley has had a standout year for them. They'd be really pleased with him. Bushner's played a fair bit of senior footy for them, so he's a player that they can obviously put some time into, and he's certainly the future for them. Holmes is another one. They've had Siggins run into some really good form. Unfortunately, just lost some of his best during the final series, but he's been one of the dominant ruckmen of the competition this year. So look, they've also got Jackson O'Brien back. Webberley's a bit disappointing for mine, boys. He just, his best footy is terrific, but unfortunately he just hasn't been able to get on the park. And he's been sorely missed because he's a terrific player.
Well, take us through the goal kickers quickly, Brownie, before we wrap up, and people can head on over to the next game that's going to be an absolute blockbuster.
3 goals to Nathan O'Donoghue, who played a terrific role for his club today, more as a forward ruck. Other multiple goal kickers were Sam Lonergan, 2 in that second quarter. Joey Boyce, who I think just went off in that last quarter, boys. I think he's iced his hip, so hopefully he's okay. He kicked a couple. 1 each to Sonny Whiting, Jay Blackberry, Sam Rundle, Kelly Mansell, Nunn and Gillow. And for the Roos, 2 goals to Jeremy Webberley.
What's going on here, boys? Looks like Ian Callanan's getting a guard of
I was about
honour
to say
here,
about Ian Callanan, boys.
Well, there you go.
I wondered whether or not it might be his last game of footy, but I didn't have the heart to say it.
There you go. So that's big news.
1 goal to Wade Wall, 1 goal to Ian Callanan, Jared Harper, Trent Stanton and Alex Silva. Yeah, I did think about that through the last quarter, boys, just whether or not that might be the end for Ian Callanan. But you would think with that, and great respect shown by the Launceston Footy Club by getting over and acknowledging one of the stars of Tasmanian football over the last 15 or 16 years, whether it be through Tassie Devils days, Adelaide Crows. Always felt like he was probably robbed about 60 or 70 AFL games of footy, because he certainly had the talent as a small forward, but it just wasn't in vogue in those days, boys. Now everyone wants a small forward.
Look at the appreciation there too from the Launceston
travelling fans. Yeah, they're happy about it.
They've made their way down. They've made themselves heard too this afternoon. They've certainly been very vocal, haven't they?
Quit the chat, Breno. We know you're trying to avoid something. It's votes time. 3, 2 and 1. Give them to us.
I'm not doing it. I'm no good at it. You both know that's why you're getting me to do it. So I'm no good at it. So I'm not going to do it. So Brownie, over to you.
We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up. Head over to the next game, which is an absolute blockbuster from UTAS Stadium. It's the Northern Bombers up against Lauderdale Bombers. An absolute cracker on its way. Click on the fresh link for that one. We hope you've enjoyed this coverage. We've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. See you next week.